What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Renee, with episode 27 and the triumphant return of Miss Alexa Ray.
Hello, I'm here.
Woo!
I have missed you so much.
Touching.
You smell really good.
Oh, good. You guys can make out later.
No.
That's
I'm like, okay, and Alexa's like,
Brittany
no.
Brombacher.
Do it now.
The
Hello.
blonde nerd who has joined us here in San Francisco. We are awaiting the arrival of Miss Christine Steimer.
Hi, yeah, I'm
up.
still in Los Angeles for right now.
Tomorrow, though, which will
Tomorrow.
be yesterday once people actually listen to this show. It's been too long since we've all been together in the same room, but we're looking forward to seeing everyone in the streams that are going to happen. Again, if you guys ever want to be part of our exclusive content that we have on Patreon, that's patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. You can get in for just $1. You can get access to our happy hour stream that happens every month, our happy hour Q&A, where all we do is have drinks and answer your questions.
It's
for
a very
full hour.
happy hour.
Yeah.
We should call it the very happy hour.
You
I
have
like
a very
it.
happy hour.
The very happy hour.
Okay, we can change the name. And then we also do a Patreon exclusive video. And then if you kick in a few more bucks, you can get access to things like the secret segment or even the after hour stream, which is
The very
a special
after-hour
stream,
stream.
where we play something silly and answer more questions. But it's a lot of cool stuff. So if you guys are interested, please check that out over there. But something else that I wanted to mention. Oh my gosh, I totally blanked on what I was going to promote next. That's
Was it
really
the fact
fun.
that someone in this room got nominated for trending gamer?
Oh, come on. It did really kind of take me by surprise. I know we kind of joked around about it before, and I mean, Greg and I have joked around about it on Kind of Funny Games Daily, but I am completely floored that it actually happened because, as people who voted in nominations for the ballot, it's all peer voted, and there's over 50 outlets, both in the United States and around the world, that voted on these nominees, and it's a huge honor for me, and I'm super excited to be in that group of people. And my personal friend Steven Spawn is also nominated from Able Gamers. I'm on the advisory board for that charity, and so really glad to see that he got some recognition. I actually haven't met the other nominees. I've just seen them on the internet. But an interesting group of people. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but are you the first lady nominee?
I am.
Yes.
First time.
Our queen.
That glass ceiling. No, it's still there. But
Punch it,
You're
Andrea.
standing below it with one of those those gadgets spies have when they cut the glass and cut the hole in it, and you're
that would
like
be cool.
getting ready.
Well, we'll see. So if you guys are interested, and I hope you would vote, you can go to thegameawards.com and you can cast your vote there, and hopefully, I can earn your vote. That would be great. So thank you so much for bringing that up. It was kind of weird for me to be like, hey guys, I've got me news.
No, but that's freaking awesome.
You're just being humble.
I put
So
I
awesome.
put that later in the show notes too, so we're gonna talk about it more later.
Perfect. Well, yes, because we definitely need to talk about the awards, because there's a lot of different games that are up for a variety of awards for the Game Awards. But
you need an outfit. We need to Hunger Games the shit out of whatever you wear.
I'm gonna go full
On
girl
fire.
on fire. Okay, I gotta figure out. We'll do some shopping.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show where we talk about video game news. We analyze the current events. We give you in-depth commentary on what's happening. So let's get to our first news story. So first up on the list, and thank you so much to Steimer for helping me put the notes together this week. We were taping a fun Let's Play video, which we will put up on the channel soon. The first story, talking Pikachu WTF.
That was Alexa's input.
It literally says WTF in the show notes. you
There's
guys.
like 10 Fs.
It's strange. The way so the breakdown of this is the Pokemon I Choose You movie just came out. Alexa's losing her shit over here.
I hate it.
And so what the film is, it's essentially a reimagining of the movie that came out 20-ish years ago. And what's different about this one is like where the original film kind of took place like around the anime time, you know, there's Brock, Misty, Ash has his Charizard already. This one kind of takes it starts after Ash gets his Pikachu, which is the beginning of the series, and so it kind of retells like an alternate universe of Ash and his Pikachu going along in the world and doing their thing.
So this abomination doesn't have to be canon.
Exactly. No, this is not canon. I refuse for this to be canon.
Okay.
So
I refuse for it to be canon. It doesn't mean it's not going to be canon.
So I saw the
in Brittany's
film.
mind, it's not.
Man.
Yeah.
I saw the film last night, and I would recommend it if you're a Pokemon fan. Like, absolutely go see it. They take some interesting, like, iconic things from the anime, like how Ash gets Charmander, the whole Butterfree thing.
Butterfree's in it?
Yeah.
Oh god, that wrecked me. Those episodes were the
It was
worst.
intense, and they retell like a lot of those things. Butterfree.
What's Butterfree?
I don't
What?
know.
It will wreck you. It is pretty emotional.
I just know about butterfries. Have you seen the video?
What?
Andrea.
Is that French fries
two
with butter on
girls,
them? What is
two,
that?
No,
Oh,
the
yeah.
two girls singing about French fries, and
I've
they
seen
say
that.
we are butterflies.
No.
They do. They say we're butterflies.
Yes, I've seen that.
Like
That's
French
funny.
fries.
Huh.
I'm not intentionally mispronouncing it.
Butterfries.
For everybody listening out there being like, did she just say what I think she said?
Butterfries.
Shit. Literally, they call themselves butterflies.
It's not so. A Butterfree is a Pokemon that is basically a large butterfly.
Okay.
But there was an episode in the anime where Ash was like, I have this super great evolved Pokemon because it's the final form evolution of a set of Pokemon. And there's like a Butterfree migration while all the Butterfree are flying around this island or whatever. And Ash is like, well, maybe my Butterfree doesn't want to be my slave for the rest of its life. Maybe it wants to go be with its people. So they let Butterfree go. And it's this emotional moment as he lets this Pokemon go and Butterfree flies away like into the sky. And it's
Never
about
to
like
be
loving
seen.
something so much you have to let it
But-
go.
So
I
it's
love
the
that
only
he's like
Pokemon to
only
ever
Butterfree
escape?
Yes.
can go. Like every
No,
Pikachu.
no, no.
you're
The Pokemon are
forever.
slaves.
And this is what's frustrating about the anime. We don't have to go down this rabbit hole, but he wants to be the very best Pokemon master, right? But he like lets half of his Pokemon go. Like I think it was like a Machop and like maybe a Mankey or something.
He's like not.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anywho, so the
That's called pet abandonment in our world, Ash.
so
You can't just adopt things and then leave them. That's irresponsible.
exactly.
It's not good pet ownership. So the iconic thing about the first film, the end of it, Ash like kind of is like being owned by Mewtwo, and Pikachu like cries. He's like, "Ash, don't die!" He doesn't really say that. He says, "Pika, Pika, Pika," whatever. This film, it's completely different. Mewtwo's nowhere to be
Perfect
found,
Steimer.
and
Immediately no longer interested.
yeah, it's a new retelling. Anyway, so Ash is getting completely owned by like these epic Pokemon, and Ash is like, "Pikachu, why don't you get in your bowl?" or whatever.
Wait.
What?
He's fighting these Pokemon, and he wants his one Pokemon to get back in his ball.
Because he's selfless. He's a Pokemon master, Alexa
Because
Ray.
He's
That
a
enslaves
really bad Pokemon trainer,
hundreds
but a
of
good
little
person.
Pokemon.
He's also been 11 for like 20 years.
I know,
so
it's really weird. We need to
No,
talk
he's
about
like
that.
Bart
He
Simpson.
just has really good skincare.
So Ash is like on the brink of death. Yes, Steimer. And he's like, "Why won't you get in your ball?" And Alexa, please do your impression of what comes out
Oh
of
god, I hate it.
Pikachu's mouth.
I saw that.
Do
I haven't
it.
seen the movie, but I saw the footage, and he's like, Pikachu's like, Pika, 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 and Ash is like, why don't you want to get in your ball? And Pikachu opens its mouth and says, because I always want to be with you. And I immediately flipped over my computer, kicked my table, ran outside, and screamed into the air. Like, I can't.
True.
I can't. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right. It's not
I
right.
just watched
It's
the
not
clip.
right. It's not right. Pikachu, if Pikachu can talk this whole freaking time, what?
I might be able to put it
Why
in the
would
mic right
why
here.
would he ever say Pika Pika if he could just tell you what he's thinking?
Oh, Britt,
Okay,
Britt's
we're
got
gonna
it.
play.
I
I
have it.
actually did a really good impression. I'm proud of
Okay, so
myself.
wait, the speaker's
But this
on
is
here,
what
yeah?
it sounds
Yeah,
like.
okay.
It's because I always want to be with you.
Your impression was so
that
good.
was actually you did a really good job.
Okay, and then
Alexa.
at that point, Ash's eyes go freaking huge. So it's
You can talk.
okay. So here,
you
so,
son of a bitch.
all this time. So there are a lot of passionate fans out there who have a lot of feelings about this.
I
If
love
you-
the reaction videos so
Oh
much.
my god!
They're
So what you don't see in that video is everyone in the audience is like, "Whoa!" because no one is expecting it. Because hello,
I think they screamed, "What the f?"
Pikachu says because, and there's this one that was going around Twitter, and Pikachu goes, because, and the whole audience goes, what? And it's like this comical, like, Monty Python sketch of a Pokemon movie.
How I describe how this is weird to people, I say it's like an infant talking. It's just a little strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like what if an infant could make mouth words. That's what it would
It's like
sound
you wouldn't expect that to happen. Now, some people are saying maybe Ash was like hallucinating or he got hit in the head real hard.
He's dying.
And he's
in his
dying.
last
And so
moments.
he's like, it's like a connection they're having. But it kind of weirds me out. Now, Andrea,
No.
I know you're into it.
I mean, I think that it's okay for Pikachu to have a voice after so many years.
Get the fudge out of here.
Hold on. The reason I think it's okay is because I don't have this connection to Pika only saying Pika Pika. Because I didn't ever watch Pokemon or play Pokemon. The very first Pokemon I ever even attempted to try was Pokemon X, which is like
not a great
20
start.
years into Pokemon. And so I'm like, cool. I don't understand why people are like devastated by Pikachu having a voice.
It ruins everything.
No, I think it's cute. I think also it helps maybe it deepen Pikachu as a character and maybe provide some additional narrative assistance. Listen. Pikachu is kind of light in the character development department.
Whoa.
Do you disagree?
That was an angry Pikachu voice.
I may not have played a Pokemon game for a while. I am going to play Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I may have been I may have rage quit the Pokemon bandwagon several years ago. However, Pikachu is, through the anime, at least if you watch the anime, probably one of the better like personality character arcs I think of all of those.
Sure, but when you're comparing him to like the other Pokemon,
It's art.
still a little light in the character development.
What other Pokemon?
No, I'm talking about in spectrum of like all anime characters or all animation characters
Well, yeah.
or even video game characters
But
at large.
but you said of all the Pokemon, not all anime are Pokemon, Andrea.
No. Okay. To be clear.
I'm sorry.
To be clear, I'm saying that Pikachu as a character in the fictional space of all video game characters.
Yes, he's not the best.
Let's make that the umbrella. Video
not the
game
best.
characters. He's light in character development. I would dare say even a character like Link has more character development than Pikachu.
All right, if
Link also doesn't talk.
Yeah,
Link also does not talk. He just makes like sex grunts.
He grunts a lot and he does weird facial expressions, and that's like the extent of his personality. Steimer, how do you feel about talking Pikachu?
I don't like it because I'm a OG Pokemon fan, and
Pikachu
he
purist.
He can say Pika Pika. He can say Pikachu. He can say Chew. He can say all of these versions.
The
He cannot say
versatility.
real words.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
think it's funny. Oh, by the way, I found this video.
Oh, we're gonna play Butterfries now.
You're gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
The Butterfly video.
Also, I highly encourage you to find this video on YouTube.
There's also some adult words in it.
I mean, this is an adult show.
Is it? Are we an adult show now?
We have always been an adult show.
Oh, I've been really careful because I know there are small children that sometimes listen to the show.
Can this be your theme song from now on?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh,
Shut the fuck up, bitch. You can't stop us eating fries.
I love
Who are they
fries.
talking to? Who's trying to stop them from eating?
They're
I don't
literally
know.
girls like in tutus with holding handfuls of french fries. I love it.
Can we recreate this video?
oh
I told John it's his theme song because he loves french fries.
Huh.
Anyway, it's great. It's called Butterfries.
You would think of that after we're talking about Butterfries. That's a very Andrea video.
Butterfries.
It just popped into my head. I have bad ADD, ladies and gentlemen.
I love the weird internet.
I mean,
yeah.
more.
We've gone a little off the rails already, which I love. but-
Yes. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us on this journey that we have been on.
A magical mystery tour.
Can we move on to an actual news story? Or do
Hey.
you want to continue down the path?
No,
of-
I'm fucking done with
of
Pikachu.
Full.
Okay, great.
Goodbye.
It's not Pikachu's
Okay.
fault.
It's not.
No, it's not, but I don't know. I just feel really uncomfortable.
Okay, we won't talk about it anymore. Okay. All right. Next story. Bungie has revealed this week some details about the Curse of Osiris, which is the first expansion pack coming for Destiny 2. So, this is for all of you Guardians out there. The power cap is rising from 300 up to 330 with gear and mods. That's from 305 up to 335. So I only have one character up there. So that means I gotta get hopping on the other two. The experience cap is going to be going to 25, so another 5 levels. And as far as the activity goes, Bungie has confirmed in their live stream that they had earlier this week that's bringing back the Heroic Strike playlist finally with the Curse of Osiris. And so the campaign stories will take place a few months after the events of Destiny's 2 story, which of course ends with something that I'm not going to mention. So spoilers. I mean, like, honestly, like if you're playing Destiny, the campaign is like the first drop in the bucket in that, as far as like what you do in that game. And so it ends a few months after that. So this leads, I'm sorry, let me get back to where I was in my story here. There will be an essential component for the Vex master plan with Mercury, which the robotic aliens terraformed ages ago. They've activated a Vex gate on the planet, and Ikora Ray, the Warlock Vanguard, will need you to investigate. I think this sounds exciting. They had mentioned that they were going to be doing more with Mercury previously, and in original Destiny, there was really the only way to get to Mercury was to play the Trials of the Nine, or the Trials of Osiris, excuse me. The Trials of the Nine are for Destiny 2. And you had to do a flawless run in order to get to Mercury at the very end. I never got there. I didn't have enough time, and I just wasn't that good. Let's just call a spade a spade. I just was not that good. So I'm looking forward to checking it out in something other than just Crucible maps. So, Steimer, are you excited about this? That's a no.
I mean, like my one character's like 280 or something. So no,
Oh,
like I don't even know if
you
she
up
is
there. You
280.
just got to raid a couple of times.
The look on Steimer's face right now.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I could. Yeah, you're right. I could get carried through a couple raids, but like
I'm sure that What's Good Guardians would carry you. That's what they're there for. That's what
Do I
clan
wanna
mates are
be
there
carried?
for.
They can't carry
I
it
don't
for you, but they. No,
No, I saw what you were trying to do there. I'm with you. I'm with you, Alexa Ray.
I tried. Abort. Bye.
Failed Lord the
Oh, I
Rings
tried.
out.
But that, yeah.
I'm excited for this. I have said previously that I'm looking forward to getting back into Destiny and to really deep diving and doing more stuff and playing more with the clan members. I've obviously had to take quite a break from Destiny because there's just so much happening, which of course we will be discussing in the next segment. But I don't think there's really much more to say upon this. We'll revisit this after it comes out, which is on December 5th. So very soon. Next up, Stardew Valley.
now
New
this I'm excited
content
about.
is coming in. So with the recent launch on Nintendo Switch, of course, much awaited, long awaited. Multiplayer mode is finally going to get here. So Eric Barron, who works on the game, said that there's new content coming in addition to multiplayer. On Twitter, he teased that he'll bring something new to the game alongside the update, although what this will entail is a mystery. He did post a pretty neat picture of a ship with some lights on it. Pure speculation, of course, at this point. But what do you ladies think that this could potentially mean?
What was
I
it
have
with
no
lights
idea,
on
but I
it?
hope it's not more fishing.
Let me
Fishing is so fun,
let me pull
Steimer.
up. Let me pull
Oh
up.
my god, I hate.
Why do you
fishing.
hate fishing? I love fishing.
So if there's a photo here, which for everybody who is listening and watching, I'll try to describe. So it's
Oh.
a ship that's like on water. So it's not a spaceship.
It looks like a boat.
It's
It's a regular ass boat.
It's
It's
off,
by a dock.
it's
and then
off
there's
of the docks,
barrels.
yeah.
It's off the
There's-
docks, which is in the main game.
Yeah.
It's got
Oh
a
my
little
God.
string of cute lights. There's some boxes on this ship.
Lake parties.
more banging.
Oh, all the banging.
Oh yeah, girl.
And
all of it.
I don't know what this means.
I'm excited. I'm scared because
I assume
Stardew
Oh, sorry, go
Valley and
ahead.
me is like it's a very like many other people, thousands and thousands of people, probably more than that. It's a very deadly addiction. Once I start,
relaxing,
it's the most cathartic. That in Story of Seasons, the most cathartic game that makes time go faster more than anything else, and that makes sense. Time goes real fast when you're playing that game, and I'm excited to jump into it. But the new Harvest Moon game just released, and so I know
Oh, girl.
I'm very scared to play it. So I think I will probably try to forget about that and play some more Stardew Valley.
I'm assuming that this is going to be a transport method to a new map, like similar to
Yeah.
the bus driver, right?
Oh, sure. That's a great point. Yeah, because the bus driver takes you to that desert area. And
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That sounds
So,
fun.
Steimer, will you do the multiplayer?
Yeah.
Yeah? Will you play with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we start a What's Good Games farm?
Oh my God. Yes.
Do it.
So it's kind of interesting because I've played these farming games since I've been like 8 years old, but I've never played any multiplayer version of it. So I'm thinking like, how would you do this? Would you be like, okay, you take care of the crops, I'll go do like the animals, and then we'll do some like mining. You can go do
Sounds
some
like a
fishing.
nightmare overcooked waiting to happen.
It kind of does, right? Like, what if your partner like sucks and like doesn't water all the crops adequately, and then they die, and then there goes like your supper for the next evening.
Then you unfriend them and never talk to them ever
Goodbye
again.
forever.
That seems extreme.
But like, how does
Isn't
This
it?
is Stardew
If you're
Valley.
screwing up something as simple as Stardew Valley, we're gonna have a problem.
Sam, maybe you know this, but how does is it like it's a co-owned farm? So do you both like have to romance different people, or is it like someone visits your farm? Do you know?
Great question.
Okay,
I
no,
don't know.
That's fine.
Can you romance?
I don't
other
really
players?
know. Oh
Oh,
shit.
yeah, can you romance other players?
Can you do it?
We should know these things.
Are you okay, Steimer? What's happening?
I was looking at, I was trying to look for a different article, and then of course ads played because
and you were like, oh no,
What?
don't get the ads in
and I
the
was like,
recording.
oh,
They
I
gotta pay
go
us for
use
that.
the tab.
Yeah, I'd like to see a new
So I'm
area.
trying to see if, like, the other players can do almost anything the main player can, including mining, foraging, taking part in festivals, and getting married.
That's it.
Players will be able to build up to 3 cabins on their farms, each
Oh.
of which can house a friend. There's enough for everybody.
We can all have a farm. Andrea, will
What's
you play
good
Stardew
farm?
Valley?
What's good farm?
Do I have to?
Yes,
You might
I
love
played
it.
Destiny with you.
That's fair.
I didn't do anything for you yet, so
I downloaded Final Fantasy 9 for you.
you did. We have to play it. Maybe we'll play tomorrow
That would be fun.
or something.
Have you ever played a farming game before?
Does SimCity 2000 count? Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I've also played Dune 2 and the original Dune, both RTSs on PC. Those also have a farming element. You farm spice. So, but have I played like a game like Harvest Moon or like Stardew Valley? That's like the main
Mm-hmm.
mechanic is like farming and then talking to people. No,
How would you phrase it like that?
I
So
haven't.
reductive.
I'm not trying to
fun.
be reductive. I mean, the mobile game that I was like super obsessed with for a long time, Kingdoms of Middle Earth, that has had a big farming aspect, but it was a different kind of farming. It was more of like the grindy farming instead of like literal like plant some potatoes. So, but like, I don't know. Listen, I will try it. If you guys want me to be on your farm, I will give it a go.
Thank you.
I will try it on Switch.
That's all we ask.
You can.
All right, I will get the game on Switch, and we
Yes.
can all play on Switch.
This podcast
Yeah.
will probably cease to exist because we'll be so absorbed in it, but that's fine.
I don't think I will. I think I'll enjoy my time, but I don't think I'm gonna get obsessed
There's no.
because I really want to get back into Paragon.
Famous
and
last
I can't,
words.
I
You
can't
can't-
spend too much time in Stardew Valley.
you can't shoot.
I got things to
people in
shoot.
Stardew Valley. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
You can hit them
Yeah,
with
you
a
go.
sword.
There's combat, yeah.
No, I want to pew pew. Pew 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 pew.
Yes, Andrea. We're working on her, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll try it. Okay, next story. There is a new EA action game with never before seen gameplay. Okay, so this is interesting. So this, if you guys remember,
I Are you sneezing or scoffing?
She's
I was scoffing.
At E3
Oh, okay.
a couple years ago, do you guys remember when EA had a bunch of that like conceptual gameplay and like their whole conference was just all like conceptual stuff?
I mean, they're all just conceptual now. So
Well, I mean, yeah, but like they made a point to call it out. So this happened in 2015. And so this was kind of like a GTA style action game. And like we saw like a little hint of it, but we haven't really heard much of it since. So the studio that's working on that game is Motive, which we didn't know at the time that they were working on it. So Motive obviously just shipped Battlefront 2. So they worked on that game, or partially worked on that game. And this is, more importantly, the game that former Assassin's Creed producer Jade Raymond is working on. So I've been really interested to see what she's been working on for quite some time. Now, we don't really know much about the game, but EA CFO Blake Jorgensen spoke recently at the UBS Global Technology Conference, and he said that it has a lot of new interesting gameplay that I don't think anyone's ever seen before. And he generally spoke about why EA is moving into the action game space, and also added that BioWare's new IP, Anthem, is action is clearly the place where we're missing the most, and the reason we're building Anthem in the new title that Jade Raymond's team, Motive, is building in Montreal. The largest sector in gaming, he called it. It's the one where we haven't spent a lot of time in because we were so focused on sports and first-person shooters. We feel like there's a huge opportunity there. So this is not surprising, especially given the recent news that happened with Visceral and how they shut down that project, which was meant to be like a single player, more narrative focused, Uncharted-like experience in order to probably add in more of a games as live service, like bedrock to that series. I think that this fits for Jade coming from, an Assassin's Creed history and kind of, where Motive has been working on stuff in the past. Like, I would like to see them kind of spread their wings a little bit. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is the right move for them to move into more action-focused games?
well, can't wait to see that get canceled in 2 years.
Oh, no. You think this is going to happen?
Honestly, I don't know, EA. What are you doing? I don't know. Until I see like something functioning gameplay or like get my hands on a friggin' demo, I will believe this thing will be a thing when I can touch it. Because they're just not.
I mean, it's fair. And I mean, and BioWare in particular has also had some other projects canceled.
But also like the Visceral game was an action game. And this sounds like a narrative focused action game. And Anthem is like a multiplayer, like it's like very much, it is an action-y game, but it's like leaning into this is a multiplayer. I think this is a multiplayer experience. So is this going to be another big multiplayer experience? Like, how do you have a big multiplayer experience that has the success of something like GTA, for example, without, or Destiny without like guns?
You can do Dragon Age Inquisition.
That is true.
Dun, dun, dun.
But what else can you do that's not dragons and magic?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously Anthem is going to have guns in it more than likely. So I think that, just the fact that it's guns versus swords is maybe like splitting hairs a bit. I don't think that you have to have something that has multiplayer like Destiny in order for it to be successful. I think the Assassin's Creed franchise has proven that franchise doesn't need multiplayer to be successful. And in fact, probably was arguably more successful when they decided to take multiplayer out of that series. Look at Black Flag and of course, most recently Origins, and that they aren't hurting for units sold. So Ubisoft has clearly had a lot of great success with that story. And, I think EA's gotten a lot of flack this week. And obviously, we'll get into the Battlefront 2, like, microtransactions fiasco in just a second. But I think that they're, and you can call me a corporate apologist for this if you want, but I think that they're getting a lot of flack for tearing down multiplayer experiences or tearing down single player experiences and kind of warping them, when in reality they have been providing these kind of tentpole AAA experiences for decades. I mean, look at what they've done with the sports franchises that they own and how they added single player into Madden this year, which is something that people just magically forget when they get mad and want to throw EA under the bus and be like, EA doesn't support single player. I'm like, no, they deliberately put a single player component into one of their most popular franchises that is a top 10 selling game every single year. They didn't need to do that. They didn't need to
To
change
be
that
fair,
formula.
though, Andrea, the reason they're saying their PR statement was really garbage.
No, it totally was.
With the closure of Visceral and all that stuff, and that's why the narrative has been the way it has,
Not to
because
mention,
their
sorry, Steimer.
statement just made it seem that that they were sort of like crapping on single player experiences, which I agree with you, Andrea. I don't think that they intended to really say that. I just think it was really poorly worded.
And also, they just acquired, we didn't talk about this, Respawn as well. And so people are like, oh, you're going to shut down Visceral and then acquire Respawn. I mean, I don't think it's a wrong business move. I mean, I agree with you, Andrea. Like, it's, you know, it's what a company does. But I just think it just makes them look bad in the eyes of people who don't quite understand, and maybe
Which is everyone.
Which isn't every right, totally. And I mean, I know it's our job to like analyze these things, but it just feels kind of dirty, like over analyzing like this statement. Like he's like, this game has new ideas that have never been thought of before. And it's like, I understand.
That's cool.
I understand you have to create the buzz and the excitement, but
See you later.
Yeah,
But that's
always
like,
gonna toot his
I
own
worry
horn,
about
yeah.
him saying that, because like now I was like, well, you better deliver, because I can't imagine what gameplay element you have that's never been seen before. Like at this
marketing.
point, you've pretty much seen what you can do, and it's just mixing and matching
Mhm.
and balancing
right.
a lot at this point. So we'll see. Put your money where your mouth is, sir.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a lot of fluff. It's a lot of fluff, and they're just, I know everyone's like ripping on them for all that other stuff, but I really do think the whole way that they handled the visceral thing is a very telling, like, just makes me feel like, oh, you're gonna do an action game that's like when I think action game, I think immediately I think of Assassin's Creed, because that series is like been around forever and it does the action genre really well, stuff like that, stuff like Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. So like, I don't know, and even all of those games iterate on the things around them. Like Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor very clearly had a little bit of like maybe like Batman and Assassin's Creed like influence in it. Like all of these games see what the other games are doing and say, how can we take that and skin it with this IP or make it with this story or tweak it a little bit and add a little wrinkle to it. Like Tomb Raider, the first Tomb Raider is Uncharted with an axe that you can run around with. So like things, gameplay elements you've never seen before, unless the game can like make me a grilled cheese and then like pleasure me sexually, then it's not something that we haven't seen before.
my
So
God, I
this
love
is
you.
just
I
like,
was on board with the grilled cheese.
this is just like the grilled cheese. Okay, the grilled cheese. This is just a lot of fluff and talk, and I feel like he had to say this to like smooth over what's been going on this week. So I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it and it's in my hands doing something that has never been done in my hands before.
Right.
Now I want a grilled cheese.
Sorry.
Okay. So let's just roll right into the Battlefront 2 news, since we're talking about EA. Obviously, this has been going back and forth now for several days. So we're recording this on Wednesday night. And hopefully by Friday, nothing else catastrophic happens, that they don't do another AMA, which they should never have done.
No, everybody.
That was
Let's
bad
poke the
idea.
tiger.
So
Well, it was a bad idea mostly because they had nothing good to say.
yeah,
Like, they just
so
didn't have any answers.
right, which is exactly why they shouldn't have said anything. So for people who aren't caught up, Star Wars Battlefront 2 launched today, Friday, November 17th. But it went into early access, not in your traditional sense of early access, like the game's not finished, but like you could play the game early if you had an EA Access subscription. You could play over the weekend on Xbox. Or if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition, you could also play early on PlayStation. So there's been kind of rolling waves of players that have been jumping into the game over the last couple of days. And they had said after the beta, hey, we hear you about the start cards and the credits. We're going to tweak the numbers and make it better. And then it came out over the weekend, last weekend, that it wasn't better, that it was bad, and that somebody on Reddit did like a really lengthy spreadsheet where they were like, let me break down exactly how many hours you're going to have to play this game in order to unlock these higher level heroes that are commonplace in the Star Wars universe. People like Darth Vader, like Luke Skywalker, and even like the new star of the game, Iden Versio. So they're like tens of thousands of credits in order to unlock these heroes. And some of the just, to pull an example, for example, to get like Luke Skywalker at the amount of credits he was previously before they dropped him down earlier this week, you would have had to play something like 40 hours of multiplayer matches to unlock this single one hero versus like all of the other heroes that you may or may not want. And then imagine you have to play 200 plus hours of multiplayer to unlock 3 to 4 different heroes. This is clearly like a broken, balanced economy when you have to pay $60 just to get in the game. And most people, if they were playing over the weekend, they probably pre-ordered a deluxe edition, which means they probably paid between $80 and $100 for their game. And so this was bad. It was a hot mess. And
The hottest of messes.
And one of the EA community members jumped into the Reddit, which was a mistake.
Never go to the Reddit, okay?
Left a comment, and it became the number one most downvoted comment on Reddit of all time. I don't know what the number is currently, but as of yesterday,
600,000 plus.
it was 680,000 when I looked last, which
Yeah,
is
that sounds right.
outrageous. How many downvotes that is. So clearly, people
That poor guy's account.
people upset, people mad, and they were pissed off. And so EA pivoted immediately, and they put out a statement on their blog. And I will read just briefly what they wrote on their blog. Just a little quick summary where it says. Dun, 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 dun.
What is this? What does that nice big fat header on top of it say?
It says, change will be a constant in Star Wars Battlefront II. A message from John.
AKA, we don't know how to
Wasselchuk?
balance our game, so we're just going to keep doing it until you're not mad at us
launch
anymore.
it and then hope for the best.
Pretty much. Says, since the start of the project, we've been listening to fans, making sure Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the very best experience for all of you. We've done this through the closed alpha, through the beta, and our play first trial, and we continue to make adjustments based on your feedback. We want to ensure the game is balanced and fun both today and years in the future. Making games great comes from regular tuning. One example today, we're making a substantial change based on what we've seen. There's been a lot of discussion around the amount of in-game credits and time it takes to unlock some of our heroes, especially Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Unlocking a hero is a great accomplishment in the game, something we want players to have fun earning. We use data from the beta to help set those levels, but it's clear more changes were needed. So we're reducing the amount of credits needed to unlock the heroes by 75%. Luke and Darth will now be available for 15,000 credits, Emperor Palpatine, Chewbacca, and Leia for 10,000, and Iden at 5,000. And based off what we've seen in the trial, this amount will make earning the heroes an achievement, but one that will be accessible for all players. So they say it's a big change, and it's one we can make quickly. It'll be live today, which happened on Monday of this week, with an update that's getting loaded into the game. So this was important for them to move swiftly. And I'm glad that they did. However, is it too little too late, even though technically all of this happened before the official launch date of the game?
Now, didn't they also reduce the credits you earn after you complete the single player campaign?
They did.
They did.
So they reduced the amount of credits you earn from the single player campaign to 5,000 credits, and it was previously 20,000 credits.
What the shit?
Oh my-
that's a really
They
big
don't
drop.
Tell you about that, do they?
Let me double check those numbers.
No, I believe
I'm
that. That's
pretty
what was
sure
in
that's
my
right.
head. That was what was in my head too.
EA. What are you doing?
It's fascinating to me because obviously, like, the community and gamers as a whole have like raised a huge stink about this, and it's like how much power? Andrea's shaking her head at me. How much power do we have? Like, how loud is our voice? Like, do you think EA went into this knowing that they were going to get a whole bunch of backlash and they expected this, or they just wanted to test the waters? They wanted to see what they could get away with. Alexa, what do you think?
I don't think they expected this at all. Like,
How could
if you look at every game coming out these days, like, unless you're, Overwatch, who does loot boxes properly, it's like every game is like, how do we get people spending more money after the game launches? How do we add to the longevity of the game? It all comes into the idea of games as a service. It is part of a service. And I just think that maybe EA just missed the mark in its planning stages. Like, maybe some intern accidentally, inserted a function on a spreadsheet from the
It's
beta.
possible.
Yeah, from the beta, and like tripled everything by accident, and it was a simple human error. It could have been people, calculations could have been wrong. It could have been they could have overestimated how much time, players were willing to put into this game. Maybe they base the metrics on Battlefront 1, and maybe there has been a drop off in players or interest since the first Battlefront. Like, who knows? All these factors are not things you can really measure.
It's tough.
So I think they just goofed.
Yeah, I think that they goofed. I think also basing the balancing numbers purely on the beta and the play first trial was a mistake because even though they did get a substantial amount of players in the beta, you're going to get far more people in the actual player pool when the launch happens than in the beta, because most players will wait until launch to play the game. And like, I get that betas are obviously designed to stress test servers and to check balance and to check, like active server load while the playtest is happening. But I mean, to not have a better sense of the balance for the in-game economy by them really makes me question, just like how much QA their team did. I mean, to me, it doesn't take rocket science to know that somebody's not going to want to spend 200 hours to unlock Leia in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Right.
That's too many hours.
That's too many hours. And I feel like the people working on these games have to be a fan of video games themselves. They have to be somewhat in tune with the community and what they want, what they don't want. So part of me wonders, is this something like they're like, hey, we ran these numbers, these initial numbers, and these are our projected, this is our projected profit. And someone uppity up was like, that's not good enough. We're funding this. You must increase it or something along those lines. Because how could this pass? I know they want to make money, but.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can actually just buy most of these characters, can't you?
Well, you can buy you can buy credits, which then get you like the star cards. I don't know exactly how.
God.
Let me double check.
I think you
double concern.
You buy the credits, and then through the credits, you can buy the loot boxes, and then if you get dupes, you can turn those in for credits. That's it's like a hidden lottery system. It's like a really roundabout way to do it.
So in theory, if you spent enough money, you could, in some fashion, use all real world money to obtain these characters.
Yeah.
In a way, it is possible.
It is possible.
This is a money thing.
Of course.
It was a couple $1,000s or something.
Yeah. This is a loot box design that is a very poorly done loot box design. And that's too much money.
Yeah, and I think the reason why, Steimer, you're raising your hand.
I'm raising my hand because I saw an article today that I forgot to put in here, but the country of Belgium is investigating this game because of the loot boxes and is determining whether or not it needs to have a gambling disclaimer or something on it.
Whoa.
That's
Jesus.
interesting.
Jesus, Battlefront 2.
Belgium is on to you.
Belgium knows what's up.
I think, so, I mean, the gambling issue aside, we've talked about loot boxes and gambling, how the ESRB has said that loot boxes are not going to be labeled as gambling here in the United States, at least. Obviously, other countries have their own rating system. So the reason I think people are super upset, because clearly microtransactions and in-game content has been around for a while now, is that specifically in Battlefront 2, heroes give you a substantial gameplay advantage in a match over like your basic troopers or your basic droids or whoever you're playing as. And that's why I think people are getting upset, because like the balance, I think, is still being figured out exactly how much of the pay to win is coming into play. Just like in the beginning of Destiny 2, there was a lot of outcry about the mods that you could put on armor and weapons and how it felt pay to win. But then once they actually got out into the community, it became clear that it was such an incremental boost that it wasn't actually pay to win. And so I don't know quite yet, especially with them changing the balancing. It's hard for us to know exactly how much of a pay to win aspect there is to this game, but we do know that it does exist. These aren't just cosmetic skins. Like when you play as Luke or Darth, you get their abilities and you get, more powers. It's not just like you're putting on a different cosmetic look. So that, I think, is really playing into why people are so upset about this.
Well, that's also, Andrea, why Belgium is actually investigating. It's because of the fact that there is a gameplay advantage tied to the loot boxes. That's where they make the differentiation between like cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, there's a good series of tweets by JOABY Jojo. Jojo Alexa.
Jojo.
Yeah, and he's the one. This is how I figured it out because I don't know too much about this game, how it plays, but I've obviously been reading about the controversy. That buy crystals, from there you buy the loot boxes, you break down the duplicate star cards into credits, and then from there you can buy the heroes.
That's too many steps, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these are kind of designed to be confusing economies too, right? I mean,
exactly.
it's just like I don't get it.
How
Like,
stupid do you think we are?
you know, and I had a very spirited debate with Gary Whitta about this on Games Daily earlier this week, and he came out and definitively was like, microtransactions are a cancer. We need to burn it all to the ground. We need to put our foot down and say we're not accepting this anymore. And I said I pushed back against that, not because I'm defending EA's decision for microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2, but because of someone who has bought loot boxes, who bought loot llamas in Fortnite, and I buy packs in Paragon, and I've bought boxes in Overwatch, in a variety of other games, and I've had no problem with spending that money because I feel like I'm getting something that is balanced for what I'm paying. And I think that developers just need to put more care into researching how to do these right. I mean, Alexa right here just bought loot boxes in Fire Emblem
I spent $80 more,
before we started
$300.
shooting today.
I spent $300
So, like,
on Fire Emblem Heroes.
I don't think you're mumbling that, but we're going to touch on that again. Don't think you're getting away. Is that I don't think burning it to the ground and saying microtransactions are cancer is the answer.
No.
I think that we need to recognize as an industry that like microtransactions are here to stay. In-game content is here to stay. It helps fund ongoing development. That's a fact. Video game development has gotten more expensive, something people don't want to realize. Video game development gets more expensive every single year, just like your rent gets more expensive or the food you buy gets more expensive, and everything gets more expensive. And that means that the costs are rising and the price of a video game hasn't changed in a generation, and that's a problem. And so in order to supplement that, these studios are bringing in microtransactions, and I'm not saying that everyone's doing them right. In fact, I'm actively saying a lot of people are not doing them right, and I just want them to get it right because they're kind of poisoning the well for everybody else who is doing it right. And it's makes this conversation that we have to have seemingly every week now
Yeah, it's
all the
bad.
more complicated.
Yeah, I don't feel like burning microtransactions to the ground is the right thing to do. I feel like what the right thing to do is be vocal about what you like and what you don't like, and we're kind of in
But in a respectful way.
Oh yeah, of course. Don't be a dick. We're kind
Light
of
a
in,
little fire.
in
Just a
no
little
man's
one.
land right now, where everyone's like, oh, microtransactions are hotter than ever, loot crates hotter than ever, and so everyone's kind of testing the waters, and they're gonna see what they're gonna get away with, and they may make a buttload of money, and that we'll know about it, but people are still gonna be buying them. But if you give them such a vocal negative reaction, clearly we just saw this happen when they cut the prices of these characters by 75%. I think that's a healthy way to try to balance this crazy thing that we're currently going through instead of just burning them to the ground. And don't do death threats. Don't be a dick.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steimer, just to reiterate what you said, somebody over on Kotaku, there was a calculation done that it would take roughly $732 US to unlock all of the heroes via microtransactions.
Okay, that's less than I thought.
That's so gross.
Still insane. But
No,
less than
it's-
Britt spent on Pokemon Go.
But also,
I'm like, ew, that's so
Yeah.
gross.
I mean, that's fair, but Pokemon Go is free.
but
Well, that's what I think. Like, I dislike it when it's a free-to-play game mechanic in a $60 game. Like, when it's designed as if it was a free-to-play game,
It's not
which is where
freemium,
the
yeah.
gameplay, like, elements come into those loot boxes. Like, that's when it's not okay. Don't do that. Cosmetic is fine.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Dun, dun, dun. We'll be back next week with the same topic.
I know, right? Same
God, I
conversation.
hope not. All right, so moving on, the Game Award nominations have been announced. Da 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 da.
Whee!
So let's talk very briefly about some of these nominations. I don't want to get too in the weeds with the Game of the Year discussion. Don't worry,
I have a
ladies and-
weed I would like to discuss.
we will be having a full Game of the Year discussion in a few weeks down the road in December, once we have some time to play a few more things. But Of course, we are one of the jury members of the Game Awards. We were very honored to be asked. I'm very happy to see that Jeff Keighley, the executive producer of the awards, really broadened the scope of who was on the jury this year. As in past years, there's several international outlets. There's many more outlets here in the United States, including some people that we know like Easy Allies, and of course some of the usual suspects like GameSpot and IGN. So it's very cool. If you guys want to see who all the jury members are, you can find all that information on the Game Awards website. But so for Game of the Year, we've got for nominees The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, and it fucking pains me to say it, but PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is also in this list.
I have
We'll
a
talk about
weed.
this later.
I have a weed.
No, we can talk about this right now.
Go ahead. You go with
Okay.
your weed first.
My weed does not have to do with PUBG, so you should go first.
Okay. My single weed with this, and Trevor Starkey actually made this point. I'm like, he's kind of right. He said, when people are like, you can't judge PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds because it's early access and it has bugs and stuff. You can't judge it unfairly. It's like, but you can nominate it for Game of the Year. That just, I haven't processed that right away, but that really struck a chord with me. Like,
Wait. So what is his point?
let me pull it
That
up.
people would be like, give the game a break. It's not done yet.
Right.
And
Sorry,
but,
that's what it is.
But it's game
So
of
my
the year.
question is that
No,
is
you
that
can't
irrelevant?
you can't have it both ways.
Right. That's
Exactly.
what he's saying.
If this game wins Game of the Year, I will
Riot.
backflip off the earth. It's going
It's been too long
to
since
happen.
you said that.
It
I
won't.
just-
Okay.
It won't happen.
I better not.
I have faith in all of these voting outlets that they will not allow PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds to beat any of the games that it's nominated against. I've gotten into some pretty heated debates with people about Zelda versus Horizon, which is fine. I think that's what Game of the Year conversations are for. But when you look at these four, and like we also nominated Divinity Original Sin 2, which clearly didn't make it in because not enough other outlets agreed with our opinion. But like if you look at the four that are up against this, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, and Breath of the Wild, in addition to Horizon. Like, I mean, just the two Nintendo games going against each other head to head. I mean, I don't even know how PUBG is even part of this conversation. I really do not.
I'm really mad
because it's a gaming culture phenomenon.
I don't
That's the
care.
only
You know what
So
else
is
is a
League
gaming-
So is League of Legends. That never made it onto a Game of the Year list.
Alexis is about
You know what
to
else is a
frickin'
gaming
explode.
cultural phenomenon that didn't get nominated for Game of the Year at the fucking Game Awards? Nier. There's Twitter.
Is it?
all over Twitter? I've seen people talking about it, and I'm honestly pretty shocked that Nier didn't get nominated for anything in narrative, and it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year. And I feel like it deserves to be at least in the nominations list over PUBG because that game is just so weird and so innovative and just so wonderfully produced and put together. The score, the art, like the story, the meaning behind it, and the way that you can sort of play it open-ended and get like 36 different endings. And I am with you, weird Twitter. And the reason a lot of people didn't play this game is because the first Nier was super weird and very niche, and people went, oh, Nier, that's weird. So then like not as many people played it this time around, but like I'm with you in your outrage. I'm really mad that PUBG is on there and a game like Nier was passed over. Okay, that was my weed.
No, that's a fair because that did take up a spot for another finished game.
Correct.
Probably was more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many games that were left off. And like, listen, I got into it with Danny O'Dwyer. God bless him. He is a lovely person and makes fantastic videos over at NoClip. And he's a supporter of ours, and we're a supporter of his. But we got into it on Twitter about why he thinks PUBG deserves a Game of the Year nom, and he started rattling off all these stats. Like 20 million players, this many people watching on Twitch, this many people live streaming, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, there's been so many games that have had as impressive numbers, if not bigger download in player-based numbers, games like Candy Crush, games like Pokemon Go, as I mentioned, games like League of Legends, And to me, I'm like, if that's what you're going to use as qualifying data to be like, this is why it needs to be part of the conversation, I'm like, I don't know, man. And I think, there's definitely an argument to be made for people saying it's the most fun I've had with the game. But the most fun I had with a game last year was in was in Destiny and Paragon, but I wasn't about to nominate either of those for Game of the Year. I think the thing is like, obviously everyone's criteria is different. And the thing that I said, and the thing that we discussed here when we were picking our Game of the Year nominations was, let's look at all the different aspects of what makes a game. So that includes the programming, the level design, the narrative design, the art direction, the art, the character development, the acting in the game, if it does have acting, and then overall, like, what's the polish like? Is it broken? Does it function? Is it compelling? Do you want to be in this world? Like, all of these different things make up the core gameplay experience. And to say that a game like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds can compete with a game like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, to me
Horizon
is not, and Horizon is my Game of the Year pick. I've obviously said that over and over again. It's like, I don't think that you are ever going to be able to convince me that PUBG belongs in this category, especially since when the cutoff happens for the voting cutoff, and there's a date that exists that games need to be released by, PUBG will still be in early access, even though they have technically announced they will be coming out of early access. It will not be in time for the cutoff date. And an early access game being in that
cutoff?
category, I'm just not okay with.
What's the cutoff date again?
I believe it's late November. I would have to look it up.
I
But
think
it's definitely November.
PUBG is worthy of an award. Sure, we can't take that away from it.
Well, and it's nominated for Best Ongoing Game and Best Multiplayer.
Sure, but like Game of the Year, like like you said, Andrea, like when you compare it to a game like Breath of the Wild or Horizon or even Nier, it hasn't done anything. I mean, it has a very addictive gameplay. I get that, but it hasn't done anything super like mind blowing.
No,
And it maybe if there's like a hype Game of the Year or most like whoa mind blown Game of the Year or something, okay, but not Game of the Year.
Like you look at those other four, like Persona and Horizon, Legend of Zelda, Mario. Those are four like shit. Like those are four excellent games. And when you look at those games have this like this magic to them. You want to be in them. You have this like amazing experience, and you can see when you play these games like the love that every single person who worked on this game, the designers, like the audio director, the person who like maybe wrote the script or animated the robot dinosaurs or like wrote the physics for Cappy, like everyone who put time into that game, you can see how much they loved working on it and how special an experience they wanted to craft. And PUBG is you're running around in a circle with fucking frying pans and guns shooting people.
I mean,
That was
sure.
very reductive, but if you look at, that's what we're looking at. And I don't want to live in a universe where PUBG wins Game of the Year.
I hope it doesn't happen. If it got
The
nominated,
developer-
that leads me to believe that there's a possibility that it could win. And
No, it won't.
No,
What's
I don't
good,
think
games
so.
friends? Don't let this happen.
the fact that it got nominated though is a little like, you guys, what'd you do?
It makes me mad. It makes me like unreasonably annoyed.
The developer, I think, talking to IGN. I can't remember exactly who they spoke
Yeah,
to.
no, you're talking about
was
Brendan
like-
Green's interview where he talked about the nomination.
Yeah, and he was like,
What
we
did he
shouldn't
say?
have been nominated for Game of the Year.
Oh,
Yeah, he himself was like, I don't know why anyone would nominate us.
okay. Well, that makes me feel a
Because
little.
y'all are dumb.
The other thing,
Y'all are crazy.
are you gonna go down the rest of the list?
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
not going to go down every single category, but I just wanted to. So Gama Sutra had a nice little recap.
Okay.
They said the nominees have been revealed, and big hitters like Super Mario Odyssey, Destiny 2, Wolfenstein 2, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Horizon Zero Dawn are all up for multiple awards. But there's plenty of choice outside AAA bubble with indie offerings like What Remains of Edith Finch, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Cuphead, Night in the Woods, and Bury Me My Love, all in contention for awards. Notably, this year's ceremony will include 2 new awards, one for live games and one for mobile titles, with the former being added so the show is more reflective of games being ongoing services instead of just one-time releases. The complete list of nominees features 102 games and individuals.
That's
And the
awesome.
winner- Yeah, it's great. And the winners will be, of course, revealed live Thursday, December 7th. And, of course, you can go to the Game Awards website for all of the nominees. I do want to point out, and I'm very glad and happy that we also nominated all of these women. 4 women in the category for Best Performance, which is absolutely fantastic. Hanging there with the actor who played BJ Blazkowicz. In
so funny.
That he
Wolfenstein
did a
2.
good job.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He
got
did. He did a great job.
Melina Juergens as Senua in Hellblade, Laura Bailey for her role as Nadine Ross in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Claudia Black as Chloe Fraser in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Brian Bloom is his name, who played BJ in Wolfenstein 2, and then of course Ashley Birch for Horizon Zero Dawn as Aloy.
Ashley Birch, also named Forbes 30 Under 30.
I saw that today.
Hey.
So excellent. And the Games for Impact Award is always a really fantastic category. This is for a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning or message. Please Knock on My Door from Laval Games. Night in the Woods from Infinite Fall. Life is Strange Before the Storm. Our spoiler cast is coming up at the end of the show. That's from Deck 9. Bury Me, My Love from The Pixel Hunt and Figs. And What Remains of Edith Finch from Giant Sparrow. And again, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice from Ninja Theory. So
I won't talk about this too long because I know we have to move on. But
Yes,
I'm very, very disappointed that Divinity Original Sin 2 was not at least nominated for Indie Game of the Year.
it was nominated
For Best RPG.
I think a lot
As
of
was Final Fantasy 15.
I think
but-
a lot of people don't realize
Exactly.
or don't think of Divinity as an indie game.
Yeah, Larian Studios puts out phenomenal work, and they are an independent studio, and they've tapped into Kickstarter, and it was just made me a little upset, but yeah, I think that's part of the issue. People don't understand that they're independent, but now ladies and gentlemen, you can go support your local indie developer, Larian Studios, at Larian Studios.
Well, they're
on
not
Twitter.
local, but support them anyway.
Well, no, they're far from local, very, very far away.
It's true. So one of the new categories, Best Ongoing Game, has nominees Warframe, Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch,
Overwatch.
Grand Theft Auto Online, Destiny 2, and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. So
Gonna be Overwatch.
I really think GTA Online should absolutely sweep this category without question.
But it's gonna be Overwatch.
But fucking PUBG is probably going to win this.
no,
award.
no,
I really,
PUBG.
I mean, and the work that Warframe has done should not be undersold. They also have been doing fantastic updates and really cultivated a very active community over there. Rainbow Six Siege has had legs that I did not think was going to exist. I loved that game when it first launched. No, really, like they keep putting out stuff for that game.
Legs that I did not see going to exist.
It's true. And then obviously, Overwatch has a giant fan base,
Sorry.
and I'm a Destiny 2 fangirl. But like, I think people are gonna vote for PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and that bums me the fuck out because that game, if you compare the amount of content they've put out over this past year, compare with the amount of content that any of these other games have put out, I'm just like, I don't understand why people nominated this game for stuff.
Because
you guys.
people are simple fools, Andrea Renee.
And that's why I'm
People are
worried.
simple fools.
If that game wins any awards, it's gonna.
I don't. I
we're
don't.
not okay. To be fair, I don't want to sound like we're hating because we're not
definitely
hating.
I am.
hating on.
I
We're
am.
definitely hating
Okay.
on PUBG.
I wouldn't say we're hating. I'd say we're
I
just like
am.
okay. Alexa is.
Andrea is.
I'm definitely hating on it.
It's more of like I feel like their time just isn't right now to win these awards. I feel like if some
their
sort of
time,
award, yeah, it's just not their time. We love you and you're doing phenomenal. Just
But go away.
let there be more. Yeah, share
No,
the
I-
light.
When you said
I
that,
just-
I thought of the Kris Kardashian gif of "You're doing amazing, sweetie."
I just all of these games are like so cool and do great shit and have like inspired people and like moved people and become these like cultural phenomenons and these wonderful messages and like cool shit. And then you have this freaking game with the frying pans and the guns and the dudes running in the circle. I can't. I understand that a lot of people play it and it's fun to play with a bunch of people and make funny like GIFs that maybe Kotaku will pick up and post on their front page. But no, I can't do it.
I do think it's funny that Fortnite is going head to head against PUBG in the best multiplayer category.
Oh man, PUBG was Fortnite's
But
best
to
marketing
be
ever.
fair,
Yeah.
if you were going to be annoyed that PUBG was nominated, technically Fortnite shouldn't be nominated either because it's also not released.
No,
Technically.
That's very
I
good.
100%
Very good point.
agree that game is
Yeah.
still in early access.
Yep.
So I mean, the other games in that category are Call of Duty World War II, which has been like the tentpole standard for best multiplayer for years, but they're never going to get recognition, which is unfortunate. Splatoon 2 also great, but they're missing voice talking, so maybe they shouldn't win. Mario Kart 8, I don't know how Mario Kart 8 snuck into this category.
What?
What are you doing
What?
in here, Mario
What?
Kart 8 Deluxe?
What?
And Destiny 2, which to me should win, because I think that
Yeah.
they're great. But listen, PUBG, you know, if they were going to win any of the awards at the Game Awards this year, this would be the category. I think would that makes the most amount of sense, because they do have a lot of functionality, and what they've done with squads and things like that is very cool. So like I could see an argument if we're living in a world.
No. I've got an award for you, PUBG. How about biggest bamboozlement of literally everyone?
Oh,
PUBG.
damn!
Bamboozle. That's a
Biggest-
great word that
Someone
we haven't
biggest
used in a
will
while.
listening to
bamboozlement.
this podcast being like, they hate us.
Biggest bamboozlement.
Well, there goes that sponsorship.
Well,
We
no,
were gonna
like
get that
like
one
if you
anyway.
like it, that's great. But get it
They
off
were
my
never
Game of the
coming.
Year
I know
nominee.
they-
No.
No.
Okay.
That's what she said.
Not if Chocobo's in it.
All right, listen. We're gonna move on. If you guys want to check out the rest of the nominees, you can do so at thegameawards.com. Don't forget you can vote for me. Thanks.
Do it.
You will vote for
You
her.
will
This
is
vote
has
what
for
she
been the
says.
longest news section ever, but I can't leave without talking about the Fire Emblem story expansion coming for Fire Emblem Heroes.
here.
Oh, you guys are so great.
The new storyline stars new characters. Fjorm? How do you say his name, Alexa?
I don't know.
The Ice,
It's Ice
her
Princess.
name, the
Fjorm.
Ice Princess,
Fjorm.
will team up with other Fire Emblem characters to defeat Surtur.
I fucking
Can you
love
say
Fire
that
Emblem.
again?
There's too many consonants in this name.
I
The
love Fire
so-called
Emblem
ruler
so
of
much.
flame. If it's not obvious by their titles, the second book is all about an ongoing fight between fire and ice. I wonder where you stole that from.
Oh man.
George R.R. Martin.
To celebrate the next part of Fire Emblem Heroes, Nintendo will offer up a 5-star version of Fjorm.
This is
To
the
all
best.
players
so
once
good.
they've beaten the first part
Can
of
we
book
just
2.
have a-
She's doing it for me, which
Can
is
we
why
just
this
have
is so
a
great.
podcast where Andrea reads names?
Proper nouns with Andrea Renee.
Maps comprising chapters 1 and 2 are now available. Alexa salivated when she opened her phone today and was like, new maps.
Oh, I opened it this morning. There was like a broadcast overnight. Nintendo did like a broadcast, and I opened my phone, and the first thing I do every morning, my alarm goes off. My boyfriend gets out of bed, and I roll over and I grab my phone and I open up Fire Emblem Heroes. It's the first thing I do every morning, and I opened it, and it was like, new event, and I was just like, I was like late for work. It was this big thing. No, I really love Fire Emblem Heroes because they put a lot of effort. Yeah, it's like an RNGesus, like I finally got my Takumi after $300, and now I've over-leveled him and can't really use him for anything anymore.
Worth it.
Yeah. But they've really gone in, like what I deeply appreciate about it is they really went in on the story. Like they really care about the story sort of built around all of this. And yes, you're like collecting all these heroes that exist already in sort of like a weird like Pokemon-esque fashion and making them fight for you. But they have their original characters. And book 2 sounds like they are bringing in another set of, kind of like how they did with Fire Emblem Warriors. They're bringing in another set of characters and making another world and doing stuff with it and sort of making a nice little wrapper for all of it. And I really like it. Like, I'm really excited for this. I'm glad that they're doing more story content and not just continue releasing new maps with kooky costumes, although that is what I spend money on.
The horny casino.
The
With
horny
literal
casino.
cookie costumes?
Kooky costumes.
Kooky.
So like
Kooky.
right
I
now
think
they're
like
finishing up.
Cookie crisp.
Like yeah, they're
Oh,
finishing
now I
up
want
their
Cookie Crisp.
their Halloween event, and all of the costumes are really, really cool. Yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. Yay, Fire Emblem Heroes, which also got nominated for Best Mobile Game.
It did.
Yeah.
We nominated it.
Yay.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update on the Hornet Casino.
All the excitement has left her voice.
We will come back for a full
Fjorm.
report once you figure out who this Ice Princess is. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the end of the longest first segment in the history of the What's Good Games podcast. But it's worth it because Alexa Ray is back. And
course.
it's been fun. And we had lots of laughs. Hopefully you did too. Stick with us. We are going to take oh my God.
Here we
No.
go.
Turn it off.
Transition.
Turn it off. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us. This episode of the What's Good Games podcast is brought to you by TakeThis.org. Take This AFK rooms are mental health first aid for conventions worldwide. And without the psychomancers, they'd just be empty space. Since 2014, Take This has been sending psychomancers to conventions worldwide trained in the art of mental health first aid. Psychomancers create safe, welcoming spaces for people dealing with mental health issues and can help guide people in distress to the help they need. Between training, insuring, flying, lodging, and feeding our psychomancers, Take This spends over tens of thousands of dollars a year to help thousands of people dealing with mental health issues at conventions all over the world. And the psychomancers need your help to keep flying. Visit the Take This Patreon at patreon.com/takethisorg to learn more about the Psychomancer Project and how you can help bring help, healing, and hope to people around the world. Become a sponsor of the Take This AFK Rooms, staffed with psychomancers, stuffed with hope. Patreon.com/takethisorg. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us here on the What's Good Games podcast. It's time for Hands On, where we talk about what we've been playing.
Yay.
Spoilers, it's going to be a lot of what we were talking about last week, probably, with a little bit of new stuff mixed in, because, of course, Alexa Ray has returned.
I played some games.
What have you played, Alexa?
Where do I start?
It's a good question.
What did you like the best?
Can say.
What did I like the best?
Yeah, out of all
Oh,
this
that's
list
a
that you
tough
have in here.
question.
Shit. What did I like the best? I feel like the thing that I have spent... No. Okay, so the two games that I have spent about the same amount of time in is Super Mario Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Origins.
I would love to hear some of your Odyssey thoughts.
Oh my god. Oh,
Here we go.
Okay, that Cappy is way more terrifying than I ever could have imagined. Sorry, I
mean-
hate to burp. Cappy is...
No, wait. So, okay. For the record, before this game came out, you talked about how terrified you were of Cappy.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me he is more terrifying than you could have imagined.
He is more terrifying than I ever could have imagined.
Okay.
And it ties in to a theory I have about Super Mario Odyssey. I know a lot of you haven't finished it yet, so I'll be as vague as I can. But there are places you go in Super Mario Odyssey, such as the Luncheon Kingdom, where everything is made of food products. And that place, wink, wink, people who finish the game, you know what I'm talking about. And then that other place, and then that other place. Wink, 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 wink. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. And and the things that happen are just so bizarre. Like, Bowser is a very good wedding planner. Like, a really excellent wedding planner. Like,
That's something I never thought I'd ever hear
I
in my
was just
life.
gonna say that. Yeah.
He's a brilliant wedding planner. He has it all figured out. His outfit looks great. His little comb over. Okay.
Too bad the
You look
bride
great.
isn't willing.
Yeah, well, she's
Oh,
like,
really?
She's like hanging out, like not whatever. And there's a thing that happens at the end of the game that is very much like, huh? So I have a theory about Super Mario Odyssey, and this makes all of it make sense. Why you're collecting power moons, why you're on this weird hat-shaped thing flying through the sky, why Bowser is like having like the Kardashian wedding of the century, why your old girlfriend Pauline is running a city called New Donk City, the things that happen in New Donk City,
Okay, tell me
the
everything.
entirety of the Luncheon Kingdom. Mario is dead the entire time.
Okay.
Go on.
If you have started
Okay.
Super Mario Odyssey, and I hope all of you have at least started Super Mario Odyssey,
Yes.
Yeah, we have.
the first 2 minutes of the game, Mario and Peach and Bowser are all on Bowser's airship, and Tiara is already on Peach's head at this point, and Bowser's like, I'm doing my thing, and so Mario is like, I'm gonna fight you because this is the thing that we do now.
Yes.
And
Or
Bowser-
always.
And Bowser has a hat. He also has a hat that can do things. And his hat has little like boxing gloves in it. And he uses his hat and he literally punches Mario off of this ship. The ship is like flying in the air. It's pretty high up. There's like not a lot of clouds, which leads me to believe this is like above the stratosphere. Like it's like where you probably won't be able to breathe if you go up like 5 more feet. So he punches him off the airship. Peach goes, Mario! And he flies away and falls from a great height. When you see Mario again, he's in like the Super Mario equivalent of a Halloween town. In this black, everything is black, and there are big buildings shaped like hats and a weird fog, and it's very creepy and very weird. And Mario is laying on the ground. And if you pay attention to the controls, you don't really have, like, it tells you to press B to jump up. But you're laying there for a minute, and you have nothing to do. Like, you can't do anything yet. The game wants you to see where you are first. And then Mario jumps up, and his companion is immediately this, like, weird little hat ghost thing. He has the little like feeties and like the hands of the booze, which leads me to think he's a ghost wearing a hat, or a hat that is a ghost.
So confusing.
Or the
He's
ghost of a
hat.
but he's not the ghost. I think I've ruled out being the ghost of a dead hat. I think that's not the case.
Yeah, that
because
doesn't make any sense.
we see Mario's initial cap get shredded, and we're like, okay, so he's not the ghost of a dead hat. He's a ghost possessing a hat, or he is a ghost that is a hat. So
I'm so confused already, you guys.
Keep going.
so
though, girl.
Cappy. So in Cappy's presence, Mario starts moving around again. And Cappy's like, hi, I'm a talking hat, and I am a hat that can possess things. And if you throw me at an object, you can go into the object and be the object. So here is my theory. The Mario that you are playing as for all of Super Mario Odyssey is not Mario. Mario has passed on, and that is Cappy animating his body.
That's
Whoa.
fudged up.
It is fudged up, Brittany Brombacher. It is very fudged up. Because if you notice, and when you possess another, you are not in Mario's physical body. Because when you possess another creature, you go into it. There's that animation of you going up and into it. So Mario is physically inside of this being, which means like can't be his body. It's got to be the soul of Mario. And some of the creatures that you possess, once you're done possessing them, you pop away. They kind of sit dazed for a few seconds so you can decide whether or not you want to repossess them. And then they poof out of existence. They cease to be. You have destroyed a life because you entered their body, pushed their soul out of it, possessed their body, and their body with no soul in it goes poof into however physics in the Mario universe works. The body just poofs away.
Let me just float an idea to you for a second.
No.
Is it possible that you're overthinking this
No.
maybe just a little bit?
No.
No, you don't think so?
Have you seen The Luncheon Kingdom at all?
I have not.
Neither have I.
Girl, it is a trip.
Okay, question. Do you see Cappy in I can't remember. Do you see Cappy in the beginning on the ship with Bowser? When they're like getting their like first initial brawl on, is he there? I'm wondering.
No.
Okay. Because
I
I know
don't
you
think
see
so. I think it's just the
It's his
Peach's
tiara.
tiara
it's just
ghost
the
hat.
tiara. Okay. So what does it mean that the tiara is visible? Does it mean anything?
That she's present.
Mm.
I think that Tiara is like maybe Bowser has some dirt on her or something, and the reason that Peach cannot escape is because Tiara has control of her body because she's sitting on her freaking head.
Because Peach is also dead.
No.
Peach is not also dead. Peach is not also
This is now
dead.
the corpse bride.
However, there are several things that happen at the end of Super Mario Odyssey
Don't
that
die.
raise some ethical questions for me personally. Certain people and things that you possess, certain events that happen. I felt uncomfortable. Playing through those segments because
Really?
it felt really weird and turned the Mario universe upside down. None of you have finished it yet, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you finish that ending section, you know what I'm talking about, and it's weird, right? You people,
talking to you out
you
there.
people listening, it's weird. It's strange and weird and a little uncomfortable. I got a little squirmy. So that's my theory: is that Mario is actually dead and has passed on. And what is happening is his body is animated by this possessed Cap, or if you want to look at it a different way, because he most certainly dies from that fall. The entirety of Super Mario Odyssey is a dream of a dying man.
It's a dream sequence.
As Mario's broken body lays on whatever thing it landed on,
That's dark.
as the
my
life
God.
drains out of him,
Ooh.
this is his dream. And he dreams of his love running off with his nemesis, and this weird wedding, and the Luncheon Kingdom, and this weird hat that can possess other creatures. Sorry, Nintendo, I'm not using your verbiage. I don't care. But that's it. Like, you wonder why, like, Luigi's not in the game. Where is he? Of course, when Mario's dying, he's not going to think about, of course, his brother's not present because he's not thinking about him. He's thinking about the woman he loves, and he's thinking about his nemesis. Like, he's not there because he can't be
family
there.
though.
No,
It depends.
Mario's
I
is
think
I don't know.
selfish.
Mario like screws Luigi over big time. Yoshi's not there
True.
either.
Ooh.
So it's like,
Oh, well, he
who-
punches Yoshi in the head. That's not
yeah,
surprising.
he jumps off of him to jump across cliffs. Of
true.
course, you're not thinking of the dinosaur that you wronged. But like,
Oh god.
but that is my theory of Super Mario Odyssey, because Cappy, like the whole ethical idea behind Cappy brings up some questions about like free will and like where does your spirit go when you die, and like in the books of one Philip Pullman, who when your soul, which is a small animal, Steimer and I are both reading the same book right now.
I'm
when-
so excited you're bringing this up.
Yes, so you have your soul is manifested as an animal that lives with you, and when you die, your animal turns into dust and poofs away because it has no soul attached to it anymore. That's what happens in Super Mario Odyssey. So all those freaking Goombas that you possess and walk away from, those Koopa Troopas, those weird little snail creatures, like literally everything, it just, the frogs, those adorable frogs, they cease to be because you have killed them. No,
can't-
Cappy has killed them.
this is heavy.
There's
I'm
I was
even
about
a
to say
glitch.
Mario
There's
is
a
dead already,
glitch.
for
so.
this.
There's a glitch. Nintendo gave us the answer. There's a glitch where you can glitch out the game if you're playing in 2-player, where one person plays as Mario and the other plays as Cappy, which is a giant hint that like Mario and Cappy are like uber connected. But you can use Cappy to kill Mario, and only Cappy will remain.
You possess a
Wait,
piranha
what?
plant,
You-
correct?
You possess you put a rock in a piranha plant. You put a rock.
in a piranha plant.
You put a rock in a piranha plant's mouth, then you possess the piranha plant, then you have the second player who's controlling Cappy come off the piranha plant and kill the piranha plant with Mario still inside. So Cappy could feasibly kill the creature that he is possessing with the Mario spirit, and send Mario's soul rocketing away into the ether and remain a single entity that is Cappy.
Well, that'll
Wait,
do
so
it for
Cappy's
this week's hands-on impressions, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait for Nintendo's tell-all.
My roommate works at Nintendo and she's very annoyed with me.
I'm sure she
She's
is.
very annoyed with me. Very annoyed with me.
I mean, whoa. I don't like. I'm speechless. This is why we missed you. We missed these crazy fan theories. I think I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. I think you're overthinking it
No.
just a little bit.
No, it's true.
But I like your theory, and I look forward to now
Keeping this in our mind, right?
when
as
I
we
turn
play.
Mario on. I will be thinking about how it's all just a dream,
It is just a dream.
and that Cappy is only Cappy.
Life is but a dream. We're all in a weird dream.
It's like what
We're
dreams
all
may
dead.
come, except it's a hat.
Except it's
We're
a
all
hat.
dead hats.
We're
Oh
all
my
just dead
God.
hats.
Ha, I need
So-
a drink.
Yes. Steimer.
Yeah.
Let's transition to another cartoon that we've been playing.
Okay.
Or that you've been playing more specifically. You have more to say about South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
Yeah.
I thought we had
so-
put a pin in that conversation, but you were like, "Excuse me, I have more to say."
Well, it's more that as I've gotten more time with it, because I played it a lot more, I'm starting to realize I think I'm giving it a bit of a pass because it's South Park.
So
And I
we,
don't.
we talked about this in relationship to Zelda quite a few weeks ago, but now you think you're giving it a pass, meaning like you're allowing it to make mistakes and do some things that you wouldn't have allowed another game to do. Is that what you're saying?
I just think it's kind of boring.
Okay.
Like, as I'm going through it, I'm like, am I enjoying this? Or am I telling myself that I should be enjoying this? And therefore, like, it was just like a weird state of mind where I was like, I feel like I'm literally just playing this game and I'm in like stasis.
Well,
Like,
that
it's
doesn't sound
just
fun.
happening. I'm just doing it. Like, I'm not really like, yeah, but every now and then I'll smile, but I really don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, the game is just,
So everyday life.
Yeah, right.
this is how I wander through life. Just glazed over look in my eyes. But no, it's just been weird to me because I'm like, it's not, I was hoping for more, for anything, like some sort of moments or like clever things that they've done. Like, I really missed, and granted I haven't finished, but I feel like I'm fairly close. I looked at like a missions list. I missed the moments of like going to Canada and
Yeah.
like, oh my god, the maps and everything has changed, or just like fun story elements. I remember I just with the first South Park, I remember it more. I think I will forget this game very quickly.
That was kind of the same thing I said when I talked about it. Was that just last week? I don't remember. I enjoyed the fractured butthole, but I felt like the first South Park, the Stick of Truth, got all of like those crazy, like, oh my god, like moments, like Canada, 8-bit Canada, like that was brilliant, you know. And
Yeah.
when I play a South Park game, I expect to be like, holy crap, they went there, you know. And I feel like there were a couple moments in the fractured butthole that I was like, holy crap, that's out of left field, but that's South Park, so it makes sense. I enjoyed it more for the I was looking forward to see like what the characters were gonna do next, because I was always expecting like the next thing to happen that just was so like random. I don't know how far you are, so I don't want to like mention specifics, but
I'm at the point where well, I'm like, oh, but spoilers.
oh, well, yeah.
Can
I don't
you
care if I
say
say it,
where
so
the
if you,
person
like, plug
with
your
the
ears for
thing
half a
does the
second, where you
thing
switch
and make
teams.
it, give her a hint?
Where you switched what, Steimer?
Where you switch teams.
Oh,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so like I've gone a little bit of that. I think the problem is like it's just been getting super repetitive of like, walk to this area, you're gonna have a battle, it's gonna be fine, and then you're gonna leave, and you're just gonna do the same thing over and over and over again, and not really. I don't know. I think I'm just like, I honestly put it down the other day, and I was like, I might not pick this back up again. Like I might just move on to other things.
I think that's fair. I mean, you have your several antagonists throughout the game that are all repetitive. You have the God, what are the girls? What are they called? Not the Hooters, but the little.
the raisins girls.
You have the raisins. You have the homeless people. You have
The sixth graders.
The sixth graders, right? And there's fast travel, but you have to get to a beacon in order to fast travel. So you have to be walking throughout the town. And I feel like after a couple passes through the town, I kind of saw all I needed to see, and I explored everything as much as I could. And it's like, okay, I don't really need to be walking past this again. Nothing new is exciting. Nothing new exciting is happening. There we go, words. And I feel like that would have been much alleviated if they would have included fast travel whenever you wanted it. So I understand what you're saying. I think the story does get a little more interesting, like, as it goes on. So I would encourage you to, like, not give it up just yet. But, you know, it's not probably something you need to, like, I need to play this and finish it. Something like if you're feeling the itch, pick it up. Sounds like a Vagisil commercial.
Yeah, that was great. You're feeling the itch. Pick it up.
Okay.
The fractured butthole.
But-
We're just gonna
but yeah,
move
that's-
right
that's all I wanted
beyond
to say
that
is that
joke. Dirty
Oh,
joke.
it was in context with South Park.
Steimer, I'm with you. I did not play very much of the fractured butthole because I did not enjoy my time with the Stick of Truth. Not because it was a bad game, but just because it wasn't for me. I, first off, just don't like turn-based games very much at all. And while I enjoy like the kind of cutting parody that and satire that South Park is known for, I felt like it went to a couple places where I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need to play a game where like farting is a power and like pooping is a mechanic. I'm like, I'm really good. I'm okay with it. So, when a friend of mine recently and a guy who's been working in the games industry a very long time, a very accomplished, Mr. Andrew Reiner over at Game Informer, tweeted a list of games. 10 games you should play in 2017. South Park was on that list, and I kind of came at him and was like, really? Of all of the amazing games that came out in 2017, you're going to put South Park on that list? And I said, and the thing I got mad at him for is because he didn't put What Remains of Edith Finch on that list. And I said, how are you putting South Park on that list and not What Remains of Edith Finch? And that, of course, spurred a whole nother conversation of debate, which we don't need to get into in this moment because the show's already incredibly long. But I'm with you. I think it's getting a pass.
More you just don't like South Park, whereas I do like South Park, and I just think the first game was so much stronger, and I just think this is not a bad game. I do think it's much more mediocre than the first
They
one.
didn't change a lot between the first and the second. The combat's different.
But the story like just isn't.
It's a
doing
little.
it for
It's
me.
a little like hodgepodge. Like it switches gears very quickly. The pacing is a little bit uneven. And then you get to the end, and the end is a sprint to the finish.
Yeah.
It's
true.
it's uneven. It's definitely uneven. Yeah.
So, noted for everyone who's playing South Park or thinking of playing South Park. So I've been playing a couple of different things. If you guys watched my recap this week, you probably heard that I played like 3 or 4 different games this weekend. But one of the games that I have been really looking forward to, getting back into is obviously a game that I've talked a lot about on the show, Horizon Zero Dawn. The Frozen Wilds DLC pack was released, and I am absolutely loving and remembering why I fell in love with this game and the gameplay of this game. And I recently upgraded to a 4K television, and I had the PS4 Pro going, HDR mode engaged, and I was floored, jaw dropped, drool dripping down about
Puddling.
how, and I'll show you ladies after we're done recording the show, how gorgeous this looks on a PS4 Pro running on, like, favoring graphics over gameplay and just like going like full bore all the graphics all the time, and it looks incredible. And it's not just cutscenes, it's like every dialogue scene you have, stopping and taking photos. One of the things that I really loved about the game when I played it the first time was how I constantly was stopping to take photos in photo mode, but none of the shots that I could try to arrange looked as good as just looking at the world. So a lot of times I would stop and go into photo mode and like spend a few minutes lining something up, and I'd be like, nah, this isn't doing it justice. And then I would just back out and not even take a photo. I took a couple different screenshots, but the game looks amazing with the new update. And what I loved about the original campaign was that it felt like the side quests had meaning. It felt like these characters that you met were more than just a passing fetch quest or a follow quest or a go kill this thing and bring me the thing and come back and then it's done. Like, these people have names, they have backstories, they feel like they're like a part of this rich world that has been built. And I really love, this taking the Banuk and really kind of exploring them as a tribe in the game and what their ritualistic things are and how they kind of fit into this overall universe. It kind of threw me for a loop that it's set like pre the last mission, but in order for it to make sense in the universe, like they had to do it before you go into the final battle, which, makes sense now that I'm in it. But really been having a great time with the new machines, which are just brutally hard to fight. Really kind of putting all of the skills that I learned previously to the test. But so far loving it and reminding myself why I love this game so much.
Do you keep your level?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was maxed out. I was level 50 when I stopped because I platinumed the game. But now they've moved the platinum because they've added all of these trophies. And so there's a whole bunch of new trophies to go get with the expansion. I don't think I'm going to go get all of them. Maybe if I have time. There's just too much to play right now. Maybe someday, but so far, really, really having a great time. It was like the first game that was able to truly tear me away from Assassin's Creed Origins. But I still want to finish. I still want to finish that game. But am I the only one who's tried the Frozen Wilds?
Not I. I still haven't played more than maybe 15
Yeah, I haven't
hours
gotten a chance
in
yet.
Horizon.
Brittany.
I know, and it's really crappy
Brittany.
because
I say nothing.
no. Here's
Wait,
the thing.
how much have you played? Have you not played any of it? Alexa Ray, what? No.
You two are in trouble.
Thanksgiving is coming up. I'm just gonna play it all weekend.
So put it on easy mode, please, for the love of God. Experience what I'm talking about.
Okay. I've been like having fever.
I will play Final Fantasy for you. I'll do it.
Okay.
So I watched Jason put like 40. How long is the game?
I mean, if you just mainline the story and you do like, if you don't do, I highly recommend doing all of the side quests. But if you don't do them all, you could probably do it in about 30 to 40 hours.
Okay, so
Just 30 to 40 hours.
just 30 to 40.
For
So
an open world action RPG, that's pretty light. right?
40 hours. That seems about right. So he had been playing for 40 hours. He was sort of near the end, and I didn't know this, but he had been playing under my PSN.
No.
And I started up my new game and completely erased all of his progress. It was not good. He was very unhappy because I had been watching him play
Grounds for divorce.
Oh, bad. It's okay. We weren't married at the time.
Whoa.
And hearing you rave about it and Steimer rave about it, I jumped into it. And like I said, 10, 15 hours. It really, I loved it. Like the characters, the interactions, the acting, like you said, everyone felt like they had a place, a purpose. But I can't get into the world because of what are they called? The robots?
The machines.
The machines, thank you. I'm like the robots.
That's what I call them.
The machines, all of the tundra, like the trees and that kind of stuff. Maybe
What
that
do you have against the
changes.
tundra?
And the trees. What did the trees
Tree
do to you?
hater.
I'm not. I love trees. I
Brittany
hug trees
Brombacher,
every day.
tree hater.
But it's just not. I'm
You live
getting
in
like,
Washington. There are trees everywhere.
I know. That's why I'm hardly ever home. But I just couldn't get into it. Like, I don't feel captivated to go back. I think if I just stick to the mainline story and all the exciting stuff happens, because this is typically the problem I have in sandbox games, is I just lose interest because I get so sidetracked with everything.
And the Nora lands where you start the game are probably one of the least interesting areas of the game.
That's good to know.
There are several different types of like ecospheres
Terrains
that you go through. It reminded me a lot of when I played Dragon Age Inquisitions, and you would go to this new world, and like the eco and the biology of the landscape would change, right?
Mhm.
You'd either be like in forests, like the hinterlands was like very much like woodlands,
Yeah.
right? And then you would, you got out of there, then there was like a snow world, and then the desert world, and all these other places, and it really kind of broadens the scope of what the geography looks like, and that certainly does happen in Horizon as well. So you'll get to experience different places, and each of these different places, of course, has different tribes in them, and the different tribes have different characteristics. They have different sets of armor, different types of weapons, and then of course there's different types of machines. There's like a couple of basic categories of machines, like the grazers or like the mounts, and then there's like the groups above that. But like the really interesting part to me is how each area kind of has like an alpha predator machine, like the big bad machine, and what that big machine looks like. And I remember the first time I came across a Thunderjaw, which is one of the biggest machines, if not the new machine's probably the biggest, but and like you feel so powerless and so small when you get up to this giant machine that you're supposed to fight. And I remember it being so scary the first time that I just like ran away. I was just like, nope. Just like turned around and was like, I'm going to go find some side quests or something to do.
Well, that's good to know. As long as it's not all woods.
No. It definitely
You've got a problem with the
gets-
woods.
I do have an issue with the woods.
which is weird because like Zelda is all woods.
I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is
obviously they've got
forested.
like the Gorons, and you got the.
Well, I haven't played Zelda in a couple months either, so I mean,
that champion DLC's coming. You gotta get ready.
I gotta get excited first.
Or don't go back to Zelda. It's okay to just say I'm done with Zelda for a while or forever.
I don't feel like I'm done. I just need more break time. Well, that's good to know because that's been kind of one of my things. I'm like, I want to go back, but I don't want to see more trees. Like I like to escape, and I see trees every day of my life where I live.
Yeah.
So it's like not that exciting for me, but that's good to know that it changes.
Yeah, it definitely does. And like I mentioned, the thing that to me that kept pulling me back to that game was that the side quests were just so excellently done, because we've all played an action open world game or an RPG open world game where you just have to go on so many bullshit side quests that are just like, they feel like such a waste of time. You're doing them literally just to get the icon off the map or to check a box. And I felt like the characters, the people that you meet, and they all come back full circle. It felt very Mass Effect in that way, where it's like you go to do these side quests because they will kind of come back in the end and have a meaningful part
Sure.
to play. And I don't think enough games do that. I think a lot of these open world games, kind of have these people as throwaway, and that's really unfortunate.
Like Zelda.
Yes.
We haven't talked about Zelda in a while, Alexa, right?
Yeah, I know, but like you're like the Zelda champ here, and to hear you like knocking it down is so.
It's not that I'm knocking it
confusing.
down. I think we don't have to go down this too much, but Breath of the Wild is a great game. I'm not going to take that away from it. I'm struggling with, is it a great Zelda game? And are we saying, oh my God, it's so good because we're comparing it to prior Zelda games, as opposed to games that are doing the same thing, but I think a little better.
Like if you took, I think if you took like the Zelda skin away from it, people would be looking at it very differently.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It'll be a discussion. It'll be a good game of the year discussion.
It will. And we'll get into it.
We will.
I certainly got into it in the comments with some people this week about Horizon versus Zelda, and a lot of it is personal preference, of course.
Of course.
But like, we will get into the nitty gritty details. We're not going to do that here because
Man,
it'll detract what we're talking
I know.
about. But I will say, if you guys have played Horizon and you enjoyed it, the Frozen Wilds is excellent. If you're a PlayStation Plus member, which I hope you would be, if you're playing online, you can get it for $14.99. It's a nice price point. It's not too expensive, and it gives you a lot of extra gameplay. And again, if you are like me and you have a 4K TV, sweet baby Jesus, turn the HDR on. It is so good.
Oh.
It's so good. I have never seen animation like this. And I know that PC gamers out there are being like, well, we've had blah, 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 blah. You're right. But like, never on console have I seen anything like this. And I've been playing a lot of Xbox One X stuff, and I haven't seen anything like it yet. And Assassin's Creed Origins looks beautiful on Xbox One X. I continue to maintain that, but this, by far, hands down, is the most beautiful game graphically I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Yes, I will show it to you. I will
Show
make
it
you
to
a
me. 'Cause
believer.
I've been playing AC on Xbox One X on the 4K TVs, and I'm like, oh my god,
blown away. It looks
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
The blades of grass.
Oh,
like, the
man.
fucking like sand moving
I'm
around your
staring
feet.
at
It's-
everything. I'm staring
so
at every
good.
inanimate object
Uh,
ever.
Speaking of AC Origins,
Yes,
y'all climb a pyramid yet?
Yep.
I have not.
I have.
Did you make it to the top?
Yes.
I fell off and died.
What? I didn't think that's where that was going, but I'm
yeah.
glad that's where it went.
Yeah, I was hoping someone else had fallen off and died, but
No,
I guess that's not what
I
happened.
did that just fine, but I did it in a demo, like at an
I
event. I
slept-
haven't done it in the game yet.
I missed a handhold, and I slid all the way down the pyramid, and I guess the game took pity on me and desynced me like 10 feet from the bottom. And I was like, okay, because I was right on top. Anyway,
That happens. That's an AC. It's almost like a trope for AC games that you climb a very high thing and then you hit the wrong button and you fall very dramatically to your death.
I fell very, very, yeah. I was really sad.
I didn't think you could die going down this. I thought you just slid down.
I think what was happening is because the game registered it as a fall because there were no handholds, and I think I was falling for so long because I was so near the
So
top.
high.
The game was like, all right, you're whatever.
Like,
And
all
then,
right,
like,
you're gonna
desynced
die
me.
when you hit the bottom anyway.
Yeah,
Let's just-
desynced me and brought me back. But despite that, I made that attempt 4 times. I still have not got to the top of the pyramid.
Oh my god.
You can
I'll
do
get there.
it.
I want to be at the top of the pyramid.
I will say the
Get
first
your
time.
shit together.
Yeah, the first time I
My Bayak is like drunk all the time. Like I can't get it.
The first time I climbed a pyramid, it took me a minute to like figure out where the handholds were graphically, because like you look, because they've done such a great job where in so much of the game you don't have to really look for handholds anymore when you're climbing building structures and rocks and things like that. Like in previous AC games, you really had to kind of look, and I like that there was kind of a puzzle element to a lot of the climbing, and that doesn't really exist right now. There's a couple of tombs where I've heard that it kind of comes back into play, but I haven't gotten to any of those yet. And so they've really kind of honed it where you just kind of have to hold down the button and then just kind of look where you want to go. Very almost Uncharted style of climbing. But I'm sorry that you died.
Me too.
I died a lot,
Rip
but
in
I love
peace.
that game. I love that game so much.
I can't even talk. I mean, I've already talked about how much I love that game.
It's my favorite.
You
wanna get
Your list here of games that you've been playing is very long, and we
I
haven't
know.
talked about. Maybe we should talk about Star Wars Battlefront II.
Okay.
So I played it. You played it. Steimer played it.
Yep.
I only played the first few chapters of the campaign. I didn't even bother jumping into multiplayer. I was like, I'm going to save this for later. Mostly because I've done Battlefront multiplayer before, and it's just really, like, not for me. But so far, I've been playing the campaign, and I've been enjoying it. I don't like how there is so much space flying. There's so
Really?
much spaceship
There's a
combat.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Like, and I know
That's-
some people are going to absolutely love that because it's such a popular mechanic, and there's obviously like whole genres of like space combat games and things like that. But I just don't like it. I get dizzy. I don't know where to go.
I got barfy.
Yeah,
It made me barfy. I was like, and that's not like a symptom of the game. It's a symptom of me being one of those people that just gets really barfy really easily.
I get barfy.
But it made me sad because I really wanted to, like, it seemed really cool, and I really, like, it reminded me of, like, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and I, like, the start.
That's what I used to grow up playing
yeah.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and I was texting Andrea, and I was like, oh my god, I just crashed my stupid TIE Fighter like 4 times into debris. Why are we flying through this fucking debris field anyway? This is bullshit.
The mode is called, the multiplayer mode, I think it's Starfighter Assault. That is like the TIE Fighter dogfighting one.
You know,
I might be mixing them up, but that one, it's nice. I can only play for 5 minutes, or I have to like pound half a can of Dramamine and hope for the best.
You know,
Oh my
it's
gosh,
interesting
no.
you say this because there's one flying mission in Call of Duty World War II, and after that I started getting like hot and sweaty, and I started feeling kind of dizzy, and I'm like, am I just getting old? But it makes me feel better that everyone else is.
Well, I also have head trauma, so.
Well, I'm
I
sure.
wasn't sick
had
from
the
playing
issues
it,
too.
to be clear.
What? Why
I
are you
was
laughing?
just bad at it.
This time
I'm laughing because Britt was like, "Oh, we're having a moment," and Alexa's like, "Yeah, but I have reasons." And Britt was like, "Oh,
I am a broken human being in a garbage body, Brittany Brobacher.
You are not. You're perfect the way you are, Alexa.
No.
But no, I was like, for the
No.
first time, I actually got motion sickness from gaming. That was in VR. I was like, oh, this is not a good sign. This does not bode well for my future. Getting old.
I get very sick from VR, and I have at home. I've played the first like 2 hours of Monster of the Deep Final Fantasy 15, which I will talk about next week. And I am like waiting for the thing. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting for the thing,
Yes.
the fish, the campfire, the thing that triggers my barf. And I'm just like, oh, please don't do it. Final Fantasy 15. Don't do it. Don't make me barf. But anyway, Battlefront 2. Yes, barf.
what do you think so far of the story, Steimer? Have you been enjoying it? Have you been enjoying playing as the multiple heroes in the game?
You know what I'm enjoying? The fact that it's short.
There she goes. So if you ever see me doing this, this is me
Wait,
sprinkling
hold
salt.
up the pillow.
Oh, yeah, that too. Oh, wait, wrong way.
You've
I'm going to lose my mic.
Go ahead.
Unexpected, but maybe. You never know.
I have a few problems with some of the things in the single player, but there's one thing that really, really irks me, and I don't know if you Kotaku wrote a story about it. Have you seen Han Solo's beard?
I've
Yes.
only seen the back of
I
his
just
head.
got to that part.
I don't like it.
What's wrong with his beard?
It's bad.
Like, is it like textured weird?
It's just a weird beard.
He's never had a beard.
The beard
really.
doesn't belong on his face.
Mm.
It
And
is a little weird that they gave him a beard with that rhymes.
It makes me feel like I'm like out of time and space. Like I've entered this weird
wanted
negaverse
him-
where Han Solo has a beard. I don't like it.
He's space hobo now.
You really
Han Hobo.
So
Oh.
I thought it was interesting how they they did all of this marketing where they're like, you know, Adversio,
New female
we got
character.
this girl. She came on stage at E3 and phrasing my bad. And you know, like here's the thing. Thank you, Alexa. I was very disappointed to see that she was actually a fraction of that game's campaign. And I'm not going to spoil all of the different characters that you get to play as, all the playable characters in the campaign, but there's a lot of them. There's more than I can count on a single hand.
Really?
And that was surprising to me that there was just so many different things happening. Steimer, yes.
But I like that because
You like it.
I liked it. Number one, it's brief because I don't have time for like a 12-hour campaign, and also I don't think that they could write a story that would compel me to play for 12 hours. But there's they had a decent variety, which is what I'm enjoying. Like they're mixing it up. You're not just constantly like running through a level and shooting bros. Like sometimes you have powers and you kill bros that way. Like, sometimes it's not a gun, basically. And so I'm enjoying the variety and I'm enjoying the pacing of it. And for like there was definitely moments in the beginning where I was like, well, what the fuck's going on? Because I'm not a super Star Wars person. I'm just like a Star Wars light
Adjacent
person.
Star
and it
Wars
got
person?
like real weird for a minute. And I was like, what's happening? What's going on? But now I'm feeling comfortable. I think I know what's happening. And for the most part, I'm just like, you know what? This is just like a fun thing to run through, and that's fine. That being said, if you're someone who's wondering, like, should I buy it for the campaign and not the multiplayer? Probably not, because I think it's only going to be like 4 or 5 hours tops.
But what if you're
And that's
someone
a-
who buys Call of Duty for the campaign, like me?
Then
Call
whoa,
of
who are
Duty.
you?
No, I'm the same.
I hate trees. I love Call of
also-
Duty single player.
Call of Duty campaign has consistently delivered year after year after year. It really has. Now, some may argue that it's become a little formulaic. That may be so, but I've never not had fun playing a Call of Duty single player campaign. They have some sections that are on rails. You're probably going to drive a tank at least once. You're going to go through a
Ooh.
level with your squad mates. They do have these kind of like archetype scenarios that do recur. And I think what was really kind of striking to me about World War II in particular is not only the amazing artistic work that was done by Sledgehammer and their support teams on this, but how they really gave it like a gravitas. And, we talked about this at length last week. So if you guys missed that conversation, we go into a little bit more in depth there. But I really hope to God that Call of Duty and Activision never stop making single player campaigns, because I think that they have set a really high bar for what a narrative FPS campaign can be. I mean, obviously Machine Games and Wolfenstein 2 have probably, surpassed that.
Oh my
but
God.
I mean, when you talk about like a modern shooter, a franchise that has stood the test of time and that also continues to set these crazy records and continues to sell, so many copies every year and has like such a great rotating stable of developers, I think it's impressive that they continue to make these experiences that aren't broken, that aren't bad. Are they perfect? Are they the best? No, I think we can openly and honestly say that, but they're great. They're fun to play.
You mentioned Wolfenstein.
I did.
That might be my favorite game narrative this year so far that I've played.
Wow, really?
Oh, I can't wait to play it.
That story messed me up a little bit. Like, I got a little emotional.
It's twisted in some parts.
It's twisted and like shooty
Don't-
bang bang, but
be
like
careful.
without spoiling anything. If you haven't played Wolfenstein 2 yet, you need to. They did an amazing job with that story, and not just that. It's like semi-relevant-ish to what is happening in America right now, but the way that they sort of set up BJ and the things that happen to him, and just the supporting cast of characters, and they all feel really real. Everyone feels like a real, complete person, and the story is like a little cuckoo bananas, but the heart behind it is just excellent.
so good.
It's so good.
Britt, you haven't played it all yet.
Not yet.
Oh man,
I think it'll probably take the place of World War II
Ooh.
as like the number one FPS narrative of the year for sure.
it's
Okay.
it's masterful. Like,
I'm really excited to play it.
It surprised me. It completely surprised me.
Did you play the first one?
I didn't, but I watched again. Jason was playing it, so I would like sit down and watch him play a little bit from time to time, and he loved it. And he raves about it. And he tells me like at least once a week, you gotta play Wolfenstein. He's like, put Assassin's Creed down for a little bit because that's gonna take you a very long time. And I'm like, I can't. It's so pretty.
I know it's hard.
It's hard.
I'm still level 30 in Assassin's Creed, and I just need to finish the campaign.
Yeah.
But like, Wolfenstein is it's so good.
It was such a surprise too.
Why were you surprised? Did you not play the first one either?
No, I did, and I loved it, and I thought the story was great. I actually mentioned it. I did a panel at PAX a couple years ago with Stephanie Bayer, who now works at Blizzard, and we did a panel about the representation of like mature adult relationships and romance in video games, and how like so many games get it wrong. But here are some examples of like a really thoughtful portrayal. And like the new Wolfenstein had like two adults that were like, the world's going to shit, we're gonna go bang in the closet and whatever, like, and it was just
That's
like
my kind of romance.
yeah, and they would like talk about their relationship and like talk about things, and it was just like, these are two people that are very clearly like consenting adults, and the world's going to shit, we're gonna fuck it out. Like and we mentioned it, and just the rest of the story was really, really great. So I was
How long is the campaign?
not long.
I mean, it's not short.
It's not short, but it's not long.
It's depending on how much exploration you do and what difficulty you played on. I'd say probably 10 to 15 hours.
Okay.
I was expecting like a good story, but with a lot of focus on the gameplay and the shooting and the stuff, because for games like this, it's, if you're going to be a shooter, you got to innovate or you die. You have to have that hook. You have to have that thing that...
Or you just have to have polish.
Or polish. And Wolfenstein had polish, but the story was like really deep and like doubly thoughtful from the first one. And I was just like, oh, because in all of the preview events where I played it and all the footage I watch, it's like emphasis on like use these weird gadgets and do this thing, and here's a character you meet in a cutscene that's cuckoo.
They don't want to give away
and then
the
you go
story.
do whatever. I do, and I was expecting like, oh, this is really nice flavor, and oh, like haha, they're banging in a submarine, that's funny. But then I play the game and I was just like,
Whoa.
I was just
Yep.
like, wow,
Yep.
wow.
It's very good.
I'm very surprised.
Before
very
we-
pleasantly surprised.
Wrap up this hands-on discussion.
Because
I've
we
meant to-
definitely need to
I
move
know.
to the
Yes.
spoiler
This will take
cast.
a minute tops. We
Ready
have
to go.
some new viewers and watchers to our show, and I'm in the
Welcome.
comments all the time. Hello, welcome. A lot of them, and I just need to clarify, I think we're Zelda haters.
What?
Now-
Why?
How is that possible with you,
Because
Mrs. Zelda?
Well, because I'm critical of it, and I think what people don't understand is you can critique the things you love, and that's okay. And I'm just saying this because I know we're going to get a bunch of comments because of our previous discussion, because it's a little bit out of context, because you new listeners, who we are very grateful for your eyeballs and your holes, haven't listened to prior episodes of our podcast. So just putting that out there. I love Zelda. I've been playing Zelda for a very long time.
She has the Master Sword and the shield mounted in her living room. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Right. So I just want to clarify that because you haven't been on the show, Alexa Ray, in a little bit, so a lot of people think we're Nintendo bashers as
Oh
well.
my god, no, dude.
We are not. FYI. I would be curious, if you are a Zelda fan, let me know what you think about the open world. And I meant to ask this earlier during the actual discussion. And let me know if you think it's an actual like super well done open world, or is it just a super well done open world compared to prior Zelda games? Compare the open world to that of Horizons or Assassin's Creed Origins, and like let me know what you think. Just ask yourself that question. That's all I'm asking. That is all.
All right. Well, on that
We're still
note,
touching.
I know, I love you.
certainly more to talk about, but we will pick up these discussions next week in the hands-on when we've had some more time to play some additional games. But as promised, we've been delaying, but it's gonna be worth it. We're gonna talk about all things Life is Strange Before the Storm, episode 3. Just kidding, episode 2.
Close enough.
After the break, grab a drink, tea, coffee, soda, beer, whatever you want. We'll be right back.
It's gonna get weird.
Welcome back, everybody. It is time for segment 3 of the What's Good Games podcast. You've been asking, and we've been waiting, and now it's time to talk about all things Life is Strange Before the Storm, episode 2. Awake, I believe is the name
Awake.
of the episode.
Awake.
Here's the thing. If you missed the first Life is Strange spoiler cast, pause this episode. Not yet. Don't pause it yet. Keep listening. First, go back to the episode where we talk about the first spoiler cast. Listen to that, then come back and listen to this. If you have not yet played Life is Strange Before the Storm, we are going to talk about everything here. It's going to be a gigantic spoiler. If you're in for that, like me, if you just do not give an F about spoilers, cool.
No Fs.
But just so you're warned, this is a fair, long warning. There will be lots of spoilers talked about. We will be talking about what happened in the first Life is Strange. We're going to be talking about what happened in both these episodes. We're going to speculate about what's going to happen in episode 3. There is nothing off limits. You have been officially warned.
Dun dun dun.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
On that note,
So, I'm glad that I played this episode recent.
Yes.
Fresh.
Yes.
Fresh in my mind. So when we left off with episode 1, Chloe, our angsty teen, had become new BFF with Rachel Amber. She was at a rock concert at a abandoned mill, and Rachel came in and they danced together, and then they played hooky and went on a train ride when they were supposed to be at school, and they got drunk together, and they kind of had some feelings for each other.
Kind of.
And
They caught feelings.
and then Rachel caught her dad making out with some woman and was like, I'm mad about this. And then she lit a photograph on fire, dumped it in a trash can, tipped the trash can over like a very irresponsible person. Don't do that. And then screamed some kind of magical, supernatural scream, and the fire spread everywhere.
All those trees burned down. Aren't you happy,
I'm
Brittany?
so happy. No, that's terrible. Forest fires, IRL forest fires are not funny and they're not good.
Brittany hates
No.
trees. If you
Neither
listen
is
to the previous
arson,
segment.
which is what that was.
Yeah,
that was
not good.
absolutely arson.
Yeah.
So Here's the thing. So we left off. It was a little bit of a cliffhanger. Nothing too serious, but like clearly like there was some kind of major fire. So it picks up and like this forest fire is like raging, and the girls are like, "That was us, lol," which is bad. And Chloe is having problems because it's discovered that she obviously skipped school. She was already on kind of like her last chance with the principal, Principal Wells, and
He sucks.
he does suck. But don't almost all principals. Sorry if you're a principal out there. You just get the short end of the stick. It's not your fault.
I'm sure you're not being paid off by like the wealthy student's father. It's fine.
It's true.
To all the principals listening.
To all the principals listening.
If you're a principal,
Oh my
it's
God,
probably like
I
one
snorted. That was
person.
really funny.
So this
Oh
leads
no,
us.
Steimer! No, the
No.
Sorry, it's just late.
it is late.
No. So this leads
Um,
us to our first choice that you can make.
Yes. Oh, so you got the
Yes.
choices.
I
Pulled
got
up.
the choices pulled
Okay.
up.
So we're in the office. We're getting reprimanded. Our mom is there. Joyce is there. Rachel Amber is there with her parents, who we've now met for the first time. And, you're getting kind of, verbally slapped around by the principal. And the first choice is,
Can you take so you're sitting down with Rachel and the principal is like, whose idea? Well, he's getting ready to reprimand Chloe, right? And Rachel's like, it's my idea. So then at that point, you have the option. Do you take the blame for Rachel, or do you go along with Rachel's story and let her accept the blame?
And when
Alexa.
she's accepting the blame, or like, because she initially takes it from you,
Yes.
Yeah.
regardless of what you do,
Right.
and then the principal's basically like, "You can't be in the play."
So there are two options. There are two parts to this choice. You can initially choose to go along with with Rachel taking the blame, or you can take it for yourself. And then at the end of this little exchange you have one final choice to agree to let Rachel take the blame, or go, you know what, fuck it. It wasn't her idea. It was my idea, and flip it all back. And obviously, if you flip flop, it
turns
looks-
into a back talk
yeah,
thing.
it turns into a backtalk thing, and it's this big thing. I initially went along with her, and then at the last second, I felt really bad, and I was like, "Nope, can't do it.
Andrea,
Can't do it."
Same with me, Alexa.
I took the blame.
I let Rachel take the blame. So 78% took the blame for Rachel. 22% went along with Rachel's story. So what I was expecting was Rachel to be like, I had nothing to do with this. Chloe forced me to leave, and that
She was putting on her best
She's
actress.
British now?
right?
she's British. Is that even British? I don't know what that is.
I don't know. You're
So
doing weird accent.
I do that a lot. So I wasn't sure like who is Rachel? Is she gonna put the blame all on Chloe? But then when she took the blame for Chloe, I'm like, okay, Rachel knows what she's doing. She's like a very intelligent person. If this is the route she wants to go, this is the route I will go with. And that's why I decided to go along with her story.
But I'm curious how that changed the later section, because you do go to the play.
You do go to the play. So then there's a scene with Victoria Chase, because Rachel Amber does get kicked off of the play, and Victoria Chase is offered Rachel's role. And the way my sequence played out was that Rachel had to come back to backstage of the play, I think, to clear out her locker, do something for Victoria. And Rachel and Chloe go back there, and we're all congratulating God, what's her name? I just spaced. Victoria on like, hey, this sucks for us, but we're really happy for you. Like,
Well, that's a choice.
that's a choice. And this is the way I played it out, is I congratulated her. I was like, hey, good for you. You're doing good. This sucks for us. But you know what? Because you walk in and she's really nervous, and you hear her talking to herself. And so you can be a bitch and be like, haha, you suck. Or you can be like, hey, I'm going to encourage you. So I encouraged her. And while Chloe was encouraging her, Rachel went to her makeup mirror, grabbed her tea, slipped some pills in there, and offers it to Victoria, and is like, hey, have some tea. You need this for your voice. Victoria drinks it. Victoria passes out. Rachel gets the lead anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Oh, so they
there was a
flip it
choice.
then.
Yeah, there was a choice there.
There were
too.
choices there. Yeah.
You had the option to, as Chloe, tell Victoria, oh, you're going to do a bad job, like convince her to not go on stage. And if Victoria, you can succeed and make Victoria decide, I can't do this, I'm not going on stage, and then Rachel will go on without poisoning her tea. If you fail in any way to persuade Victoria to not go on stage, Rachel poisons her tea. Yeah.
But then if you took the blame in the principal's office, like Alexa and I did, when you go there, it's Victoria trying to poison Rachel.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I never.
And so
It didn't occur to me that you guys were talking about Rachel poisoning Victoria, because I was in the scenario with Steimer where Victoria was trying to poison Rachel's tea, and I saved Rachel from that.
Oh yeah, it's flipped.
Yeah.
If it, yeah. Let's see.
Interesting. It's very.
Moving on. Ooh.
No. Here we go. So, on that note, 17% discouraged Victoria from acting in the play. 13% encouraged Victoria before the play. 36% confronted Victoria. 34% tricked Victoria before the play. If you go down that
I
road.
tricked her.
I tricked.
I
her
tricked
too.
her into drinking her own poisoned tea, and then she was like, "She's on drugs."
That's hilarious.
And it was like amazing. I laughed so hard.
I just don't like Victoria as a character, but I thought it was interesting, looking the whole dynamic between Rachel and Chloe, and how they're still like figuring out what their relationship is, how close they are. I mean, because they were fast friends, and obviously we talked about in the last spoiler cast how when you are that age as young women, you do become fast friends with people. And like I don't doubt for a second that any kind of intimacy they felt, whether it was platonic or romantic, was real, and like they had a connection. But to get so close so quickly, especially getting like the parents involved, was an interesting dynamic. Now, I do love how they did the play, and I did not see Chloe being roped in as a character as like this element that came along with it. But I did guess immediately that once Rachel was like, "Oh, this girl can't make it. Can you step in? Here are your lines." I was like, damn it. I know I'm going to have to memorize. There's definitely going to be a mini game where I have to remember what these lines are.
How did you do?
Did you cheat like I did, Andrea? Where I just took screenshots of I just like took pictures with my phone of the script.
No, Steimer,
I did it too. I
You're
totally
a
did that too.
dirty cheaters.
I don't care.
Cheaters.
I have the picture
Fight
still
me.
right
I
here.
don't care.
I have a lot of the Tempest's bigger scenes memorized because I directed it once upon a time long ago, and I studied Shakespeare. But I intentionally screwed up the lines, because if you screw up the lines, you are treated to the best scene in the entire game,
Ooh,
which is Rachel and Chloe improvising the words, and Chloe starts to ask Rachel questions in the same Shakespearean dialogue. Like, I think the line from Prospero is something about like, "And you are in my servitude," and like, "You are my spirit." And Chloe, as the spirit Ariel, is like, "Well, what if I don't want to be your servant anymore? What if I want to go?" And Rachel is like, "But you are," and she's speaking in like a Shakespearean like language, but she's making up the words.
But you get the improv scene even if you nail the lines.
You do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, never
you do.
mind. I love that improv scene like so much.
It was
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, it was
But
really well done.
it's slightly different in the way it kicks off, in that
Yes.
you say your line properly, and then Rachel starts going off.
And Chloe's like, "Oh crap, this is not in the script."
Yeah,
and then
the
Chloe's
way that
like, "Oh God, what?"
the way that I did it is like I was screwing up, and then the director backstage and Nathan were like, "Those aren't the lines. She's screwing up," and they're all backstage like getting really, really, really angry. And then finally Rachel starts that whole speech, and like the director melts into this puddle of like, "She's a genius," which is like so. It's cute.
It is cute.
It's cute.
It's adorable.
It is adorable.
So after the play is over, and the whole time I was thinking, we kind of skipped
We
over
did.
something, and it's important to go back. So we completely skipped over the complete interaction with Chloe and Frank. So Frank had messaged Chloe and was like, "Hey, I need your help with something. I need to collect." Drew comes back into play. This is the bully that she had confronted in the previous episode, Mikey's older brother. Mikey, of course, one of the kids that played the D&D game with her. And Frank calls her up essentially and is like, "Hey, like, I need your help with this. I need to collect this from this kid. He owes me $1,000. He has apparently been dealing oxy to football players on school campus," which is like horrifying to think about, like high school age kids, like, buying oxy. Like, that's a nightmare. And so Frank is like, "I need you to help me collect it because you can get into the dorms." And then Chloe's like, "LOL, I got expelled." which is something we also didn't talk about, the dynamic with Chloe and David and Joyce and her getting expelled, even though I'm glad we jumped to the plate because it's fun. But I think, we should, take a step back and talk about these two individual scenes. So one of the things, let's start with Chloe's interaction with Joyce and David kind of in the parking lot. So she gets this really kind of devastating news, right? That David is saying, you've kind of fucked up for the last time. I can't believe that you would get expelled. That's it. I'm moving in because your mom needs some help disciplining you, essentially. Is kind of like a little bit of what the verbiage is implying there. And the thing that kept striking me is that I was so angry the whole time of how mean Chloe is to Joyce and how Chloe, I think, forgets that Joyce lost her husband just like Chloe lost her father, right? Like they both are hurting. They both are in a place of grief, and that they both have experienced this profound loss, and that clearly Chloe's, emotional adolescence and also physical adolescence are impairing her ability to see that and to see how much Joyce needs Chloe and needs to cling to somebody who's familiar and who she loves and who is steady in her life. And Chloe just keeps rejecting it. And so Joyce has clearly gone to seek this affection from somebody else, and she's not getting it from Chloe. And she's gone to David, and now she's trying to bring David into the fold, and Chloe is pushing back. And it just like broke my heart, like hearing some of Joyce's dialogue lines about in the text messages.
Oh.
Yeah, the text messages are brutal.
From Joyce saying, I miss you. Where are you? Please come
I
home.
want my daughter
I want
back.
my daughter back.
Just like, I was fucking dying, you guys. It was so sad.
It was really sad. And that leads us to our other choice. You have a choice at one point to start over with David. Did you decide to start over with David?
I did.
No.
No?
I
Steimer.
don't think it was the Chloe choice, but I was like, damn it, Chloe, you're not going to fucking hurt your mom one more time. You're going to start over.
Right. Steimer.
That's kind of what I was doing too. Yeah, I had her in the parking lot. I played her as obediently as you could, only because I just couldn't take like watching Joyce like go
So
through any more
sad.
pain.
Well,
it's really
the
shitty.
thing about the parking lot scene, like when David asks you to empty your pockets,
Right.
there's a possibility, depending on your choices in the previous episode, that you have weed in your pockets.
I did.
I had weed.
And if you put your weed out, it's like this big thing. And I knew I had the weed in my pocket, so I declined to empty my pockets.
I also did not empty my pockets.
Okay. So 76% of people decided to start over with David,
Oh, wow. Wow.
and 63% emptied their pockets at his request. So I emptied my pockets and I had the weed in there, and I got a text message from my mom. She's like, I don't like that he had you empty your pockets, but you did have weed in there, so there we go. And she's like, I do appreciate that you're
Yeah.
forthcoming about it, essentially is what she said. And I was like, okay, that's a good healthy step for mother-daughter relationship.
It sounds like you guys are playing this as a Chloe who like is trying to start over. I'm playing her as like burn it all down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both make sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's interesting, and then obviously, we kind of know where the dynamic with David goes. If you've played Life is Strange, it doesn't go to a great place. So, I just like she's just so angsty and so mean, especially to Joyce. Like I get the like rejection of the new man because it's really pretty soon. It's only been like a year to 2 years after her father has died, and like to have like a new like father figure brought in, like that seems way too fast for me. Having divorced parents and having my parents have, significant others in their lives growing up, like obviously everyone's experience is different, but like it's hard like trying to understand who these people are, and especially when you are dealing with that grief yourself. So it's going to be interesting to see how that relationship unfolds in the next episode, but I want to skip ahead after that scene to Chloe going on this errand with Frank to the dorms. Quick sidebar. How fucking cute is Pardew?
Oh
my God,
Pardew?
God.
Frank's whole RV, like if you take the time to explore his RV, like if you look in his fridge, it's all steak.
Yeah.
And if you look in his cabinets,
It's all
it's all
beans.
beans. And if you look on his computer, his Google history is like, will dog eat steak? How old will dog eat steak?
It's
Can
so
you
cute.
make a dog eat steak? And I'm like, oh my God.
And then
fucking Frank.
there's like a comment thread, right, where he's like, does anyone know, did you read that?
Yeah, it's like a forum. It's like, does anyone know if my dog will eat steak?
Yeah, and then this, like, in true
Yeah.
internet fashion, this lady, like, accuses him of, like, abusing his dog just because the dog won't eat steak or something ridiculous
It's so
like that.
funny. It's like,
It's very on the nose. I love it.
it's like, yes. Like,
Yeah.
so good.
The beans thing though, like I like that the like because in the original Life is Strange, there's like a scene in the diner where he's eating a plate of beans.
Those were my beans.
Those are
I
my
know.
beans. I was like, this is I
That's
get
I
throwback.
was eating those beans. It's so good. It's so good. Frank loves beans.
So you go on this errand with Frank to go to Blackwell, and you go to the campus, to the dorms, to try to break into Drew's room to see if you can steal this money back from him. And so you have this little interaction with the groundskeeper
Samuel.
again. And he kind of says a couple profound things, and then there's a couple other people, that you can interact with, but you eventually, get into the dorms. You find Drew's room, and then you, of course, can look around at everything in the room. Yes.
There's a
that's the right.
choice that you make as you're interacting with the people on the grounds.
Did you tell Steph that Rachel was single?
No, I told her
No.
she was taken.
84%
Mine.
said shoot. Oh yeah, 84.
Back off, B.
Yep, 84% did the same thing. They're like, nope, back off.
I was like, oh, nah, not on my watch.
I think I chose the I don't know what we are yet answer.
That wasn't an option.
Oh no, I'm in it to
Sis.
win it.
What was the answer? What were the questions?
You told Steph that Rachel was single was 16%. You didn't tell Steph that Rachel was single 84%.
I didn't tell her that she was single.
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe I
Because she's
did.
Nat.
I don't remember. Honestly,
Her
that's
and
one choice
F.
that's a little blurry for me.
Yeah.
So inside the room, there's also additional choices. So you can obviously snoop around quite a bit in his room, go through his emails and things like that. You see, there's like a mechanic where you have to pick the lock to get into his trunk, where obviously that's where the money is hidden. You have to figure out what the code is by putting some clues together. And then of course, you knew what was happening.
Oh yeah, I was so clinched.
You get caught red-handed by Mikey, his little brother, but Drew is right behind him, and then it's all the way awkward town.
And then it escalates real quick.
Really quickly.
Well, yeah, Drew's like, it's okay, I don't even care. Let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
And then I forgot his name. That dealer comes
Damon.
and
Damon, yeah.
beats him up.
So this is another big choice.
Yeah.
I chose, actually read the choice options, Britt.
Okay, you gave Damon the money. You stayed with Mikey.
I stayed with Mikey.
So
I gave Damon the money.
so did I.
I
And
intervened.
this was my concern because
Steimer?
I stayed with Mikey.
If you search around Drew's room, you find out that he's received multiple scholarship options. And, if you're going to be a professional athlete or at least go on that road, you need to have a healthy body. So when I heard Damon kicking the crap out of Drew, I'm like, crap. And you also learn that his dad is jobless and possibly homeless.
But you also
that
saw
Mikey is
that
living with you.
You also saw that he turned down a scholarship offer.
He did. He turned it down to Oregon, and I think he signed with OSU. One or the other. I was like, okay, this kid, his dad's homeless. I'm sure, he's trying his best to, make money for the family, become, a professional and do good. So when I heard Damon kicking the crap out of him, I was like, you need your body. Sorry, Mikey. I'm sure this will affect you negatively. And it did. But it all turned out okay in the end. So if you stay in with Mikey, I'm not sure what happens because I did not go that route.
If you stay with Mikey, Damon beats the crap out of Drew and then leaves. And when you open the door, Drew has to go to, his leg is fucked up and he has to go to the hospital. And that girl, Steph, Mikey calls her and she takes him to the hospital with Mikey and he has to go into immediate surgery.
Oh, shit.
You're texting with Steph later that night and she's like, he's in surgery.
So if you decide to break it up, you get out there, you give Damon the money.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, here's the money. Frank sent me. Leave him alone. Goodbye. and then the guy like threatens him or like spits some words, and then he accidentally does something where Mikey gets hit, and then Mikey's arm gets broken, and Steph then also takes him to the hospital, but like there's no surgery. It's like they put him in like a sling or a cast.
You get texts and she's like, it's gonna be fine, everything's gonna be fine, and then Drew texts you later and he doesn't seem too butthurt. He's like, I know you were just trying to help.
Both Mikey and Steph text you like Steph texts you like a thank you for looking out for Mikey, and like Mikey's like thank you. So
either way,
it goes a little bit better for. I mean, not really, because Drew gets his leg broken, but like it seems like the less shitty option is staying with Mikey, like Drew asked.
I don't know. I would think that having Mikey take the fall is better because Mikey isn't the one who needs the scholarship. Like having a football player get his leg broken,
ice cold.
It is kind of ice cold because Drew is like a drug dealing teen, and like you should get what's coming to you. You shouldn't be dealing drugs on a high school campus or ever.
What's wrong with you, kids?
Yeah,
monster.
He was raising the money for his dad, right?
Like I get that his action, his like intentions were noble, but like that's like it's fucked, right? It's bad. It's all the way bad.
Like Mikey doesn't need his arm,
and this is what Life is Strange does great, and really why Deck 9 should be commended for picking up the torch that Don't Nod started to say like, hey, we're gonna give you some really tough decisions. We're gonna make some situations.
They're tougher, I think.
I think they are too.
They're much tougher than the original Life is Strange. Way tougher.
And say we're gonna really make you feel conflicted. I thought it was really interesting when I changed, because when you finish the game, you can change the statistics from global to friends, and a lot of the choices for me were 100% or 0.
Wow!
Like I either was with all of my friends or I was against all of my friends.
Dun dun dun.
Wow!
Yeah. So whereas obviously the global choices are split on all of the choices, but
for this one, like I think I was a little confused at first as to like what would happen if you went into the hallway, because I didn't know if the Damon guy like was really with Frank or like if it's like a step. Like I was like, what is happening? So that's why I stayed in the room. Hearing what you guys said, I'm like, oh, I probably should. Like knowing both sides of it, I would have gone out and like given him the money. But at the time, I was just so scared of fucking it up with Frank that I was motivated to stay in the room and do what Drew told me to do.
Man.
But then I still have the money because I didn't give it to Frank either, and I was like, what the hell?
I gave it to Drew as he was like laying on the ground. I tried to take this from you. Here you go. You can have it.
So cover my surgery.
So then this brings us to the play. So after the play, there are 2 more major choices of the game. The first one
Before
being
the twist,
the one that everyone wants to talk about, that I'm sure we all made the same decision for.
Oh, yeah,
are you sure?
Did you kiss Rachel?
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah,
Yes.
I did.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the stats here.
Bet everyone's.
I'm sure it's like 100%.
It was like a real. I got a like little like when I played it, I got a little packet thing from the developer that like explained stuff, and I went back and I read it after I played the game. And apparently, in order to get the opportunity to choose that kiss, it's a compilation of a lot of small choices you have made through episode 1 and episode 2. So getting that choice is 2 episodes in the making, and you have to like have made all of the right choices in order to have that option. So a lot of players will play Life is Strange and not even get that option.
Oh, you're missing out.
Dun dun dun.
That's like a hardcore makeout smooch. It's like a
pretty intense.
smoochy smooch.
All right,
It was real good.
73% asked Rachel for a kiss. 14% asked Rachel for a tattoo, and 13% asked her for her bracelet.
Interesting.
Oh god, there goes
Is
that
it
smooch
because
is totally worth
so?
it.
Would it only have the other options there?
Yeah,
if
it would
you
just be
didn't- okay.
bracelet or tattoo.
Oh yeah.
And they say they're like both of these also have meaningful consequences and meaningful responses, but everyone wants that damn kiss.
Oh yeah. Have you seen Rachel Amber?
True.
She's
It's
pretty
so
cute.
Pretty hot.
After that, there comes a scene where Rachel's like, let's run away. let's finally be gone. Let's just go, which seems like too soon. Like they just met.
But it's that time of the night.
It
Anything is
is.
possible.
The best time of the night.
But in keeping with the Shakespeare theme, that's very Romeo and Juliet.
it is
That's very true.
Romeo and Juliet. And so they go to her house so she can get a bag to like make their escape, right? Because they're just like, we're out. And then her parents are up and they're eating dinner. Like I thought the clock said they were eating dinner at like 10:30.
Dude,
or
I
11
noticed
o'clock
that
at
too.
night.
I was like,
Yeah, man. Who eats dinner that late? Spain?
Well, they
Us,
just
we're
said
gonna
a
eat
play.
dinner that
Oh,
late
yeah,
tonight.
Yeah, we
same.
are gonna eat dinner that
But
late
we're
tonight.
adults. Like if you're in high school,
Oh my
like,
god, it's almost.
like your parents
know,
aren't
right?
going to
That's
be
what we're gonna-
making
Oh,
dinner for
shit.
you.
no, Summer, I
Right?
noticed that too. She did have the play, and they were at the play, so they're probably having a very late dinner.
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
a school play. You don't eat dinner at like 11 o'clock. Well, okay, if you do, you're
I
going
mean-
to like Denny's, right? Or someplace like that. You're not like making chicken a la king or whatever the fuck she was making, right?
Yeah, she was making chicken a la king.
I
But
love it.
Alexa, as
Okay,
the
wait.
other theater
Go ahead.
person here,
Go ahead.
what I actually liked was that they did
Excuse
sort
me,
of
I'm also
capture
a
that
theater
like
person.
feeling of elation after you're done. Like I liked
Yes.
the moment where she's like going on the street, and I'm like, I totally did that when I was in high school, and we just finished a play, and you just felt like you're king of the fucking world, and like everything was great.
It was really
So I
cute.
liked
I liked it.
Where did you tell Rachel you would go? On a road trip to New York to LA?
LA.
I said New York.
Los Angeles.
I said New York because I know she said she wanted to go to New York.
We're pretty like Britt. You and I have chosen the same almost across the board.
And
here.
you and me, Stymie.
Yeah.
42% said LA, 25% said New York, 33% said a road trip.
Aw.
She said that she wanted to go to New York.
Oh,
That's why I picked New York.
it's a fine. Every choice
So-
is fine.
So you're having dinner. You interact with her weirdo father who doesn't understand jokes.
Creepy
dad.
cheaty McDad.
Her
guy.
parents don't understand jokes, and it's like Chloe's just like, "Hey, I'm Chloe,"
so awkward.
and they're like, "Excuse me," like they don't understand. They don't understand
the
any of her
sarcasm?
jokes. Any of her jokes, and I'm like, "Oh, Chloe, no!" And there's no music playing. The background is just like the ticking
clock,
of the
yep.
clock and like the boiling of like the pot. And I'm just like, "This is awful." So you help the mother set the table, and you're sitting at the table with Rachel and her parents, and you have the opportunity to like antagonize via dialogue and via like I guess talking about like activities and politics or whatever. You have the opportunity to antagonize Mr. Amber, and at the end of that, and that the major choice for that is like go along with is like call him out immediately on like what you've seen him doing, or turn his wife and daughter against him. And I chose the latter, which immediately enters a backtalk. So you are like antagonizing him and trying to like say things that bait him into saying things that his wife will not agree with. And I succeeded. And at the end of the conversation, his wife was like, "How dare you talk to our guests that way? It's awful." And he like blows up and is just like, "I don't, whatever." And like he's yelling and Chloe is yelling and the mother is yelling and they're all yelling and Rachel is sitting very, very quietly, very, very quietly. And the sounds start to dim out around her. And then she like stands up and like chews him out and is like, "I saw you kissing that woman."
Yeah.
So did any of you do the other option?
So I stayed quiet, or like I was super polite, putting everything away. I made very little interaction with the dad because like I just wanted to try and play this as smoothly as I
Because
could.
Rachel says
can go
we
up and
just
talk
have
to
to
him.
get through dinner. She's
Yeah.
like, we just have to get through dinner, and then we're
That's
out.
what I was. That was my goal. Is like just get through dinner.
Did you?
And
So you
I'm,
didn't
like,
confront him
super
when you
fake
talked to
polite.
him over the newspaper.
I did not.
You don't. I mean, I don't think confronting is an option.
It is.
But I just tried to chat with him and he was like, "I don't follow." And I'm like, "Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
you later, buddy."
But and then at the table when we were actually like sitting down again, I was like trying to calm Rachel down. I was trying to diffuse the situation.
Same.
But it doesn't work, and like there's still that moment where everything goes quiet, and then Rachel just flips out and like breaks something.
Yeah, because the dad's going on and on about some PR bullshit, and then she just says, "Oh, fucking blow me." And
Yeah.
Chloe's like, if you want to diffuse the situation, you as Chloe can like throw a spoon and be like, "Oh, haha, I'm so clumsy." And then Rachel's like, "Chloe, stop it."
Yeah.
And then shit hits the fan. 73% of people attacked James at dinner. Rachel, sorry. For 73% of people, Rachel attacked James at dinner. 27% of people attacked James at dinner. And I'm assuming that's after Rachel says, "Oh, blow me."
Yeah.
And then you can like step up and be like, "This is what she's talking about."
Yeah, I didn't do that. I took a step back because, as you mentioned, Steimer, Rachel like specifically asks you like to like not do anything stupid. She's like, we just like, let's just do this dinner and then we'll be on our merry way. So I tried to keep it cool, but the whole interaction was just like, I completely forgot that he was like a cheating asshole until the dialogue option came up in the conversation I was having with him while he was sitting reading a newspaper. Also, who the fuck drinks sherry by itself?
Right?
You don't drink sherry? That's gross. Sherry?
And their fancy little
Cook
fancy
with
glasses.
sherry.
The triangle glasses.
The triangle
Oh,
glasses.
You mean the martini glass?
the triangle
my
glasses
gosh.
that weren't shaped like triangles at all. So who the
Jeez.
fuck are they talking about?
Oh man, and this is
I
where
was
everything
confused
kind
by
of
the
blows
triangle glass. I
up,
was
right?
like, what?
Yeah, everything blows up, and then we get the big plot bomb of this episode, which is that the woman that Daddy Amber was smooching
Dun dun dun.
is
That
Rachel.
also was in Frank's trailer, which
that
we
was
forgot to
also
mention.
in Frank's
At the
trailer
play.
after the play. At the play is Rachel's biological mother.
So what the dad says, which I thought was kind of a hint, or maybe not, is Rachel's like, "I saw you, blah blah blah," and he's like, "Honey, whatever you saw, you just have to trust me. It's not what you think it is." So, did you guys see the file on the cabinet, or was the fireplace
Yeah.
or something? So she is underneath. It goes Damon, Frank, then she is under
I
Frank,
forgot her name already.
Sarah. And so at first I'm like, oh, he's a crooked whatever DA, right? Is that what he is?
Yeah, a DA.
A DA. And
District
he
attorney.
met her through all the shenanigans, and now he's trying to get a piece. Or I'm like, is he going undercover? But how
DAs
could
don't
he?
go
He couldn't. He
undercover.
couldn't go undercover. You're right. I forgot. Never mind. That blows all of that out the window. I just now realized that.
I just like I definitely didn't see those files. I didn't see it coming that she was Rachel's biological mother. Here's the thing that I'm still mad about. I don't care if it's Rachel's biological mother. You don't be smooching another woman when you're
Right.
married.
Right.
That's the point. Yeah, it's like, it's okay. It's your mom. And I'm like, wait a minute, but you're married to her. So like, I don't care. Like that, you don't get a free pass just because you had a kid with someone.
Right. And this is why they ended on what they did. Is because now we're like, this makes absolutely no sense. Now we talk about it.
Are you looking up stuff on fandom?
No, I'm making sure I have all my notes together for my crazy theory.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
All right,
love your
well, we
theories.
definitely need to wrap this episode up before we hit the 3-hour mark. I'm sorry, you guys. So
You
Alexa,
missed me. I'm back. It's a
we
special,
did miss you.
It's a special day.
Let's go into crazy fan territory.
So I do want to point out there are a lot of little clues in a lot of places that you might not look in this game, but I wanted to point out the name of Rachel and her mother.
Okay.
They both have Hebrew names.
Okay.
Sarah means princess or like ruler, and Rachel means ewe, which is a female, like a young like female sheep.
Okay.
like a follower.
Not like an ew gross.
like an ewe. And I sort of and Rachel, the way that Rachel's mother carries herself and the way that all these characters are sort of like treating her with these kid gloves, and that the way that Chloe and some people around her treat her with kid gloves. I have this theory with Rachel's mother, and Rachel will follow in her mother's footsteps. So Rachel is destined to sort of go down the same weird path as her mother. Anyway, so my theory, if you listened to our first spoiler cast, I had this big crazy theory involving the use of the Tempest.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it still holds. Like I've changed it a little bit, but a lot of it still holds. Now that we've seen the Tempest play out, we can pile on top of it. So as you guys know, the Tempest, the way I saw it is Rachel is playing Prospero, and Prospero is a mover and shaker, and he makes all of the things happen around him. He is the pot stirrer. He is orchestrating all of the action. And I said that is a symbol of Rachel. Rachel is in the center of the action, and she is the person stirring up all these events. She stirs up, she brings Chloe into her fold. She maybe has these powers that create the storm, and maybe it's her powers that pass on to Max. I'm changing that theory
Okay.
based on the second episode. So Chloe has been having these weird prophetic dreams for she had a bunch in the first episode, and she had one in this episode where she's sitting next to her father and they're roasting marshmallows over the wreck of his car. where he died. And as she sits there, he starts talking to her about fire. And he says to her, "You're so drawn to it, you don't even see the danger. Fire blinds us just like darkness, but darkness blinds us with absence, with loss. You can see that darkness as sort of Chloe's depression in the wake of her father's death and her mother moving on." And Chloe asks him, "What does fire blind us with?" And William says, "Your father, beauty. But sometimes there's a great beauty yet to come. Fire is jealous, Chloe. It wants all the beauty for itself. That's why you need to be careful." And she says, "Careful of what?" And he says, "Of getting burned." If you remember, in her last dream, in the first episode, Rachel walks up to the car, puts her hands on the glass, and immediately bursts into flame. So Rachel is the fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Rachel,
Yeah,
he
that
is
makes-
warning
yeah,
her. William is warning her
About Rachel.
about Rachel.
What about the Raven in there?
I'm getting to the Raven.
Okay. I'm like, Alexa, tell me everything.
So in a way, like if you go and you read her diaries to Max in the pod screen, it's very clear that Chloe used to see her mother to an extent, and Max especially, as her safe haven. So she is looking for a safe haven. So she is drawn to Rachel because she wants to be safe, and she finds that kind of safety and self-validation in other people. But Rachel is not as safe. She's plagued by feelings of betrayal, and she wants to run away and find a new life. And she's sort of dragging Chloe with her. And Chloe is entranced by her charm and her convictions. So that fire metaphor, and then the fire metaphor is also a symbol in the Tempest. So the Tempest, the lore of Life is Strange, Rachel, fire. Rachel is a dangerous being. And what happens in the events of the original Life is Strange and whatever happens in the last episode, it is, I believe, of Rachel's doing. Rachel is the danger in these games.
She causes her own demise, are you insinuating?
I think she causes a lot more than her own demise. I think she also causes Chloe's eventual demise. Depending on the choice you made at the original Life is Strange. At the end of the original Life is Strange, you have a choice. You can run away with Chloe and escape the storm in her truck and drive away from Arcadia Bay, or you can go back in time to witnessing Chloe be shot by Nathan and let Chloe die. And Chloe tells you, "Just let me die, it'll fix this." So the perfect ending in which everything is okay again and the storm is gone is if Chloe dies. So I'm getting there.
Okay.
We see Ariel in The Tempest portrayed in Blackwell's performance as a raven. And the raven has been showing up in all of Chloe's dreams with her father. A raven in many cultures is a sign of ill omen, of like something bad is coming, something bad is coming. By putting Chloe in the guise of the raven, I think that's a pretty strong indication that she is not the bad thing that's coming, but she is the herald of the bad thing that's coming. She and the bad thing have sort of arrived in the same space together. Her arriving at that concert and crossing paths with Rachel Amber was the beginning of something. And she is the bringer of bad tidings. She, depending on how you play her, is like weird to her soon-to-be stepfather and her mother. She steps in. She can defend or continue to bully Nathan. She sort of manipulate her backtalk. Her power is convincing people to do something or to not do something, to get her way or to not get her way. So she's the bringer of all of that energy. And the only constant between Rachel and Max is Chloe. And Chloe being the bringer of ill tidings and basically the harbinger of destruction. She's not the destruction, but she is the harbinger of destruction. I do not think that Rachel has those powers on her own. I think Chloe is some sort of being that delivers the powers to someone else.
She's like a carrier host.
She's a carrier host because she's in the center of the action. And if you play the original Life is Strange and you let Chloe die, you go back in time, you let her die, the storm goes away. I mean, Rachel's still dead. The storm goes away, nothing happens, and you attend Chloe's funeral. And for the first time in the entire game, the sky is just awash with light. It's like this beautiful sunset. There's a butterfly flying by. Like there's the most color in the scene in Chloe's funeral than there is in any other scene in the original Life is Strange. So by Chloe dying, all of this weird power passing and all of this kookiness is gone.
Fuck.
So I think she is in the center of all of this. And that kind of explains why Before the Storm is centered around her. There's also, because Chloe obviously will survive the events of Before the Storm, and she has had her hands in the destinies of a couple of other people. One person, noticeably Nathan Prescott. And if you are paying attention, I actually saw a really well put together video about this on YouTube, and I hadn't thought about this before I saw this, but if you look at the way that Nathan carries himself, he's always he's always wearing long jackets. He's completely covered. He holds himself inward. He has bad relationships with other men. He's only really comfortable around women. If you talk to Dana in the Vortex Club at the end of the first game and you're like, stay away from Nathan, she's like, Nathan needs help. And if in Before the Storm, second episode, you witness his father talking to him saying, you will not embarrass me. You will not embarrass me. I think Nathan was sexually abused by his father. And Chloe, I think in the third episode, Chloe has some sort of interaction with him and something, because he is in the Tempest, he's playing Caliban, which is the spirit subdued by Prospero. So he is living in the shadow of Rachel. Rachel is what Nathan wants to be. He wants to be free and he wants to be strong, and he can't be because of all these things that have happened to him. And he's this, you have options in the Tempest, or in the second episode, when you see him talking to his father, you can intervene and like call his father out, or you can sort of dogpile on Nathan a little bit more. And there are two different options. Nathan can come on stage, forget his lines and cry and start crying and just forget everything. Or he'll come out strong and acting really, really strong. And I think what will happen in episode 3 is there will be some sort of interaction, some major pivotal scene involving Chloe and Rachel and Nathan, or just Chloe and Nathan, that will set him down the path of the person that he becomes in the original Life is Strange. And if their interaction plays a giant role in this, and then Chloe dies at the beginning of the original Life is Strange, she moves on, and then life moves on without her. That's sort of like none of that stuff in the dark room would have happened. It's all a ripple effect. Maybe Nathan sort of, by killing Chloe, is like, oh shit, I fucked up. I killed someone. I can't do this whacked out shit anymore. And maybe that causes him to like turn over a new leaf or something. So I think the third episode is going to be Chloe, the giver of power, passing on this storm power to Rachel, and then also setting Nathan down the path that he will go down in the original game. But I think it's Chloe giving out this power. I don't think it's Rachel, and then it passes on to Chloe, and then it passes on to Max. I think it has something to do with Chloe because she's the only constant, and she's the Raven. She is the harbinger of doom.
Damn, girl.
Right?
That was amazing. I think I said this exact same thing after your last like analogy. But
Alexa, I'm curious, like the teacher needs to come into play next episode, don't you think?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we will see Mr. Jefferson. Because he's so important to Nathan's role in the story. If you listen to Mr. Jefferson's, in his dialogue in the original game, when he's talking to Max, when Max is tied up in the dark room, he says that he became a sort of father figure to Nathan. So maybe Jefferson became that actual fatherly figure that his father never was, or maybe like Jefferson starts sexually abusing him too. I really think that I really think that she's in the center of all this like bad shit, and I have to applaud Deck 9 for digging into things and presenting things that are in like uncomfortable situations and like people struggling in a way that's actually really, really thoughtful and isn't used for like shock value or like emotional gut punches. It's just like, here's our story, and here are things that people struggle with, and here are things that happen. So thank you, Deck 9. I think you're doing a really great job, but I think it's Chloe. And I think maybe in episode 3, Chloe might realize at some point that this might be her fault, that she might be in the center of something.
I think we have to get Zach Garris here.
Yeah.
I think I gotta call them up and be like, Zach, can you please come by?
Wasn't he the one who loved the analogy?
Yeah.
That was Chris.
Oh, that was Chris.
He was the game director. So I had the opportunity to work with both Zach and Chris throughout the summer, hosting various panels with them. But Zach Garris, the lead writer of the writing staff at Deck 9, and Chris Priest, I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry, Chris. Is a co-game director. Steimer, you were about to say.
I was going to say this actually could tie into one of the things I actually disliked about Chloe in Life is Strange is how much she pushed Max to use these powers. But if like what you're saying is true, Alexa, and she knows that she's kind of like she is the reason for some of this stuff happening, it would make more sense that she'd be like, wait, hold on, like let's see what what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, keep going.
And
Chris Floyd.
also,
That was his name. Chris
when-
Floyd. My bad.
when Max reveals her powers to Chloe accepts them pretty
Real fast.
readily, pretty quickly. So I think Chloe has some idea that maybe it might be her. And that's also like in parallel to like she is the point of contention in her family or her newly expanding family. And them just trying to make a better life for her. She is the point of contention among her friend groups because she's bouncing between this like drug dealer and this person. Like she could be a good person, she could be a bad person, but it's her.
Dang.
So that's what I think this is. I actually am really excited. I get to sit down with the developers at some point early next month.
Ooh.
And I really hope they listen to this before I do it because I want to know what you think. I spent a lot of time on this.
It was amazing.
I spent a lot of time thinking about it, but it's kooky and it's sad to play this episode knowing that Rachel like will die. Like she'll
It's-
never
Yeah.
see anything.
It's really like getting to know Rachel has been like bittersweet. Doesn't even feel like it does it justice. Of a word, and kind of really learning like who she is and seeing how we're just starting to peel back the layers of who she is as a character, and seeing how much Chloe is really just falling head over heels for her. I mean, if you've chosen to play it as a romantic relationship, which I have to imagine the vast majority of people have, it's really tragic, and it's really fucking kind of a gut punch knowing like not only does she just die, but she dies a really fucking tragic, like horrible death.
Yeah.
You know, and that just makes it even harder to know like how are we going to transition now from episode 3 into what happens in episode 1,
Unless-
you know?
Unless they retcon the entire thing and they do something where there's a choice in the 3rd episode where you can save her and then the timeline gets shifted all over again.
You think that they could do that
That'd be
though?
weird. I
Well,
don't
then
think
it
they could do
turns
that.
into like multiple universe theory, which I don't
wouldn't
think
be the weirdest thing that Life is
No,
Strange
that's
has
true.
it wouldn't be
touched
the
on.
weirdest
True.
thing, but I don't know if the developers want to get into it.
But yeah, it's tragic because you go to the junkyard so many times,
And
to
you
know-
walk over the spot where she's
we-
buried,
right?
And it's
And
like,
to know that like that's where you're gonna, it's just
I was more sad when they're like, we're going to run away together. And there was definitely a part of me who's like, if I can just do the dinner correctly, if I can just do this, like
Same
maybe
here, Steimer.
we can
Yeah.
get the car and go and everything will be fine. She won't end up dead in a fucking junkyard.
well,
Nope.
But no.
alternate universes.
Yeah.
and that concludes our 3-hour podcast.
That did
Oh
not disappoint
my
Alexa Ray.
gosh.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Alexa Ray.
that
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging with us. We know it's been a long one, but we hope that you had a great time sticking with us. Please don't forget to check out all of the content that we have going on. We have our horror Let's Play on our Facebook page. We've got cool content on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. We are doing fun stuff on social media. Miss Brittany Brombacher always posting stuff. And of course, we have lots more content coming for you for the rest of the year. And we hope that you guys choose to be part of it. And don't forget, if you guys are looking to rep some What's Good Games in your wardrobe,
shit.
we've got a merch store. We are partnered with Teespring. You guys can check out all the information on what kind of apparel and stuff you can buy on our website, whatsgoodgames.com. And then there's a merch store button. So thank you so much for hanging with us this week. Let us know your thoughts on the Life is Strange spoiler cast and everything else we chatted about. Reach out to us. You can always hit us up at contact@whatsgoodgames.com. That's going to be it for this week. We hope you guys play some games and have a lovely weekend. Mwah. We will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.